error in a sport like this. It's very small.
Let's go!
The beauty of this, there will only be one winner.
Let's push this thing to the limit.
I welcome you. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to Monaco for round 4 of the UIM E1 World Championship. This glorious principality has motorsport history etched into its streets, but now we prepare for the next chapter to be written on the glittering harbor seas by the all-electric powerboats of E1. But before we hit the water, here's a reminder of the incredible action last time out.
The sun-drenched marina of Puerto Banús was the backdrop for round 3 of the E1 World Championship, with high-flying action, brutal conditions,
and a huge impact,
and the biggest upsets of the season so far. In the semi-finals, Sam Coleman collided with fierce rival Eric Stark.
Here comes Coleman. Oh, that was a touch of foil.
And things went from bad to worse as championship leaders Team Brady failed to make it through to the finals.
Team Brady is going to be eliminated.
Team Drogba were the fastest qualifiers and also took 5th place overall after winning the place race.
Oban Duncan gets the win.
Team Brazil continued their upturn in form with a 2nd consecutive podium finish as they finished in 3rd. Ahead of them were Westbrook Racing, with Will Smith's team finishing runners-up in just their 2nd event. But taking their win were Team Miami, with Anna Glennon and Eric Stark moving into the championship lead after round 3 in Spain.
There is the checker flag flying. Team Miami will win. And those celebrations were very well earned indeed. And as a result, here's where the championship stands right now. Team Miami going past Team Brady with a 3-point margin. Team Brazil coming on strong in that 3rd spot. And we got a 2-way tie for 3rd. Westbrook, very impressive as well. Then Team Drogba and Team Blue Rising in 5th and 6th. Rafa, Aoki Racing, and Checo completing the field. The competition is getting tighter. We have a look over this absolutely stunning harbor. I want to remind everybody what's coming up here. This was the results from qualifying yesterday. Team Rafa, even though they've shown speed earlier, Saunders, putting up their 1st pole position and earning that key point. But the surprise to me is Aoki Racing. They've been struggling a little bit, and yet they came through with a great run in that 2nd qualifying run to jump into that 2nd spot.
Absolutely, and to pardon the pun, I think we might see a little bit of change of tide today in terms of the standings. I think we're going to see teams really improve their performances when it comes to the semi-finals and getting into that final. Yeah, I think this championship could look a lot different by the end of this weekend.
I think you're absolutely right, and that's going to be part of the excitement here. And you take a look here at the semifinal lineups. There are 2 essentially groups of semifinals, and that's the key. You look at semifinals 1 and 4. Those are the teams that will compete there. They will flip lanes, and they will change pilots between each of those, and they will go out. When all is said and done, their points tallies that they're awarded, and the way that works is the points will be 6 points if you win one of the semifinals, 4 for 2nd, 3rd for 3rd. If you DNF, you'll get 1 point. Highest point totals, the winners of each of the 2 semifinal rounds, if you will, straight to the final. The next 3 will go to the playoff race, and then everybody else will advance. If you do well in the playoff race, you go to the final. If you don't, you go to the place race.
And with the championship being as tight as it is, these points are going to go a long way.
Oh, huge. It's really, really critical, and that's That's what everybody is at all about. But no more so than these views. This place, this is Monaco, and it is so special. And as we've talked about, there's so much history in terms of motorsports here, but it's always been on the streets of Monaco or in the Rally of Monaco. This is on the water, and you've got Port Hercule right there, absolutely stunning with the backdrop of Monaco, the beautiful yachts, and just around the corner is a very challenging course that they are going to be running on here. And of course, just a little bit basically east of where we are is the beach area, just outside of the Principality. Not quite 40,000 people live here, but man, they live well, and it is a fabulous destination, whether you're there for motorsports or just to enjoy. It's stunning, and it's a real center of marine environmental studies.
Yeah.
It's crucial here.
Yeah, there's so much going on for Monaco to be the perfect location for E1 to come to, because like you said there, it's got the heritage, the legacy of motorsport now having a new chapter with electric foil racing. But then it's also, you know, on the marine side, there are few places in the world known better for the presence of boats than Monaco and the French Riviera. And now we are showing what that future can look like with electric power of leisure boating. And I think these race boats are so cool to look at. They'll be turning a lot of heads in Monaco this weekend.
Well, and the whole thing, too, is that this is being done with a serious eye from a scientific standpoint of eliminating damage to marine floors with wake, eliminating noise that reverberates through water. That's all part and parcel of this whole program.
Exactly, and it's a perfect way of bringing people's attention to the world's most important issues via sport.
And of course, we have some amazing celebrity team owners. There is one Tom Brady, considered the greatest of all time in terms of a American-style football player. 7 Super Bowl championship rings he has. He's almost out of fingers, so he had to kind of quit, I suppose, at that point. Just remarkable. Then you've got Team Brazil. That's Marcelo Claret and his daughter Sienna, co-owners of the team. And he's one of the, he's the only one who isn't an athlete or movie star or musician. He is a hugely successful businessman who's converted it into a philanthropic organization that does so much good. So in that result, he may be the best superstar of them all.
For sure, wins don't just come on the track and field. They come in business and the world of tech and entrepreneuring and everything like that. So yeah, just like every other team owner, the key objective is to win.
Exactly. That is what this is all about. And the motivations here are right through the roof. And of course, they've got this beautiful area right next to the Yacht Club, which is what we're sort of based up against, called the Ocean Club, that's been created for all the VIPs. And they have, if they look this way out over the marina, they get this view of these stunning yachts. And if they look out the other side, they can see the race course. And this is beautiful. And that is La Roche de Monaco right there, the Rock of Monaco. And just to the right of our view there would be where the Royal Palace is, on the back side of that rock in a protected. It was one of the most crucial strategic areas back in the 1200s and the like. So the history here is just incredible on so many levels. And look at the focus here, just getting into it. This is Team Checo. This is Sergio Perez, Formula One driver. I think 6 Formula One wins, of course, runs for Red Bull. And look at the focus on that driver, just getting his head into this for Danny Close.
Someone, as a team owner, team boss, very familiar with racing around the streets of Monaco,
yes.
But a bit of a turn now to racing on the ocean or the water of the surrounding areas of Monaco. But equally still, keep hammering that point home. These guys just want to win. That's how they know. That's their industry. They're in the business of winning. And Checo need a win today.
They do. It's, the pilots are strong. The team is strong. They just haven't had luck go their way. And, one of the things that we've seen here, and a few of the pilots have already alluded to it, is sometimes when you're out there, look at the size of these crafts here. When you're out there on your run, it's a pure luck of the draw when one of these big, huge yachts with a massive draft makes its way by into the harbor or out of the harbor and kicks up that wake. And that can affect these boats. And that's part of the challenge here, is how do you overcome these challenges? Look here at Westbrook Racing, that beautiful red racebird, as they call it here. And look at, pretty sunny there, obviously. They got some cover going.
I've been so impressed by Team Westbrook. The way they've hit the ground running with one less race of experience in these racebirds to be pushing, for the top 3. Essentially joint third currently as it stands, with a little bit of a healthy gap, about 7 points with Team Drogba behind. I think that's incredible work.
I do too. Yeah, having missed an entire round. And you just saw a look at Sarah Price, Lucas Ordonez here. Those are the other 2 drivers. If you notice for Sarah Price, it said professional stunt woman. If you sat and watched Jumanji 2 with your kids, you saw Sarah Price at work in that movie doing some incredible stunt driving.
Sure.
So just fabulous stuff. And here's a look. This is the Monaco Yacht Club, and that is our lunch zone. And that's where all of these beautiful race birds are queued up before they make their way out of Port Hercule, out and around to the left, if you will, heading to the south and to our racetrack, which is a challenge in and of itself. But look at this, the casino right there at the bottom of your screen. That contains also the opera and the ballet, and that Casino Square area just to the left, that round structure, that's Hotel de Paris. I mean, another legendary location here. And of course, the Formula One race winds around parts of this track, but you know, this entire expanse here is spectacular.
So there we go. We are just minutes away now from the action taking place. Everything has been building to these moments now where we start seeing these races start to happen. And what we've just been talking about Monaco, what an incredible venue it has been to showcase the unique E1 World Championship, the format, the way it works with the teams, but also the absolute cutting edge technology with these electric foils and the race birds.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing, you know, what we're seeing here, and you know how these, you know, with the foil, how they come up out of the water, and that's provided a real challenge for everybody. And what we've been seeing, particularly here, is you may come into this with a fair amount of power boating experience, but that doesn't really make you a front runner necessarily, because there are things you have to unlearn, and that's one of the joys of this, to be sure. And again, you can see some of the traffic here and these stunning views in Monaco, and looking forward to getting racing.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how this day pans out. I've been watching with a keen eye so far this season. Now just to see how it gets to this point. We're at the action point now of the season with a couple of races to go, where these points are going to go a long way to start determining who is going to finish this season as champions. Very, very exciting.
All right, and of course there is the third member of our team is Alex Aljo. Alex, what's happening there in the harbor?
Roddy, thank you so much for joining us in this beautiful, beautiful but hot setting. You launched the Racebird here back in 2021. How happy are you that it's come full circle, now racing them here in the home of motorsport?
Well, it is of course an incredible emotion. I have to say, especially as an engineer, you know, one of the things that really excites engineers when you go from a vision to a drawing and then to actually see the project and the product implemented and up and running, and literally the Racebird is up and running. Now we are at the fourth race. We are in Monaco, which is a special place for us. This is where everything started, from the signature of our license with the UIM for the championship, and to all the milestones that we have experienced. So it's fantastic.
Just how happy are you with the championship so far and how it's gone? Better than planned?
Well, of course, you know, in a subjective way, I'm super happy because I have an incredible team. The product looks amazing, and I'm very pleased with all the achievements that we had in the last 3 years. In a more objective way, I have to say that the level of conversations and the quality of the conversation that we're having for cities, new teams, sponsors and media are literally mind-blowing in a positive way. So as a representative of the team, I have to say we are super pleased, and we just now focus and look forward to see an amazing race today in Monaco.
Yeah, what an exciting day of racing we have ahead of us. What are your predictions? Who's winning it today?
Well, what I love about E1 and what we try to build is a sport that is unpredictable, and I have to say the mix of strategy, rules and everything that we have, even in terms of the foils functioning, is really creating the right level of jeopardy and unpredictability. And so yesterday, Team Rafa finally got it right, put everything together, and Chris and Tom have done an amazing results, an amazing performance. Very pleased for them. But I'm waiting for all the other teams like Miami, Tom Brady, Westbrook to hit back. I also would like to mention Steve Aoki team. Great performance yesterday. So, you know, again, it's unpredictable, but for sure it's going to be super, super dynamic and exciting.
Roddy, what does the future hold for E1?
Well, the future sees more races, more teams next year, up to 12 teams maximum, and the level of conversation, as I mentioned before, and the interest from government and private entities is growing and growing because it looks like we have strong messages, great communications, but also we have an interesting product that we can show around as a an emblematic symbol of what is possible out there. The solution exists, and it's only a matter of pursuing these solutions for the environment with courage and determination.
Roddy, congratulations for this amazing championships, and enjoy your day.
Thank you, and everybody, and please enjoy your day.
Well, what they have created is absolutely remarkable. We've talked about a little bit that, the history, for instance, here in Monaco in terms of motorsports on the streets, as Monty Python would say, now for something completely different. And it's out on the water, and he's a gentleman, NASA engineer, worked Ferrari Formula One engineer, so has that massive technical background, but is an avid boater, but also very much a marine environmentalist and wants to save things. And he got together with Alejandro from that created Formula E, and they came up with this program. And the amount of time it went from concept to reality, just stunning how quick they've made this work. And these race birds are just absolutely beautiful. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
They look good, they bring the people in to watch it, the racing is close, it's action-packed, and also it's pushing the technology in this kind of watercraft,
Yes.
within foiling, and that's kind of something that's relatively new when it comes to leisure boating, but that is the future just because of how much more efficient it is by sitting above the waves, not having to be crushed and ploughed by the waves every 5 seconds, where, yeah, this is really pushing a technology to new boundaries. It's so exciting to do it through racing. Amazing.
It really is. And these race birds, first time I saw it, it reminded me of the seagull or the pelican, just right across the water top, the wings dipping in. We are getting ready to go. Our first group are in the milling area. Let's take a look at who's going to be coming out for this first semifinal run. And this is going to be amazing. Our top qualifier, Team Rafa, will be Chris Ladaraga, will be in that boat. That is, of course, owned by Rafael Nadal. Team Brady, we've talked about that owner. Sam Coleman will be coming out, one of the most experienced racers. And then for Team Checo, Danny Close will be out for this first semi-final round. Here's a look at Chris Ladaraga, and I'll tell you, she has come out just swinging right from the very first race. She's very impressive, a jet ski racer, and she's, as you can see there, she's passionate about anything with an engine, and she's just adapted to this incredibly well.
Yeah, Team Rafa have looked pretty strong at multiple points this season, just hadn't had much to show for it until this weekend when they seem to be already the team to beat.
Well, they certainly have shown the pace here, there's no question, from the off. Team Brady next out here, and they have this absolutely stunning gold boat, again owned by Tom Brady, and the colors on that are just fantastic here. And what I love about Sam, and I'm from the US obviously, but he is so immersed also in European football, and really runs one of his own teams and helps with it.
Yeah, as well, supporting local teams, Saundersfoot FC. Team Brady, again, looking very, very strong so far this season, but now looking up against the Team Checo, Sergio Perez. This is a team that need to do well.
Yeah, they've shown potential. They just haven't. It just hasn't come together for them. And they have one of the reserve drivers filling in. Vicky Piria, who would normally be here, is working Italian F1 coverage right now. So they brought in another racer here. So it's going to be fascinating to see if a little change-up maybe will change their fortunes. And with that, let's take a look at this course, Saunders.
Yeah, very, very great course here. We're just under 1.5 kilometer long, 7 turns on a normal racing lap, an extra 300 meters or so on the long lap, which all teams will have to do in each race from the second lap onwards. Now, the lap starts with a 500 meter push from the start gates to the first set of corners. Big chance to do well here, big chance to use that clean water to do well. Big sector on the last few turns, coming round to that final sector of big, huge straights, trying to avoid the turbulent water of the boats coming in and out of the harbour, which we saw as a bit of a problem yesterday.
Yes.
So lots of natural forces working against the boats whilst they try and do the best they can.
And now this is an interesting combination. These are power boats, but they utilize more of a sailing style start. We are now within the 30-second. They all leave the milling zone and start heading toward the start line. And the key is to get to that start line a tick before that, after that 30 seconds runs out, and then get an approved start. And we are getting ready to go, our first semifinal, and we are green and racing here. Danny Close for Checo, Sam Coleman for Brady, Christina Lazaraga, and on the outside it is Lazaraga who got that great start. But look up on the boost a little bit now. Here comes Sam Coleman. They are literally foil to foil here, heading up into that first key corner.
That was a huge start there, both for Brady and Team Ruffer. It looked like Brady had got the edge, made the timing perfect, but then Ruffer came from the outside, but has slowed down a little bit going into this corner. But just look at this. Let's line up here. Team Brady, Team Ruffer, Team Checo. Talk about athletes in the greatest fields of their sports coming together. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, one thing, you know that these pilots are well motivated because they can't look at their owners and go, well, they don't know what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they do. And that's what makes it fun. But look at this run here as well. Team Checo, Danny Close has made up some serious time here, and in fact has slipped through and has picked up second spot just by a nose from Chris Lazaraga for the Team Rafa Racebird.
Now this is where it gets difficult when you're racing so close like this. They're so close, that wake is causing all sorts of turbulence against the Sea Racebirds, sending them all right, left, right and centre, whilst Team Brady is seemingly disappearing into the distance.
Well, the one thing here, as you point out, is if you're in the lead, you have the smoothest water, and that's a huge, huge thing here. And I mean, Sam Coleman is just checking out at this stage. But what a run so far by Danny Close. And for Chris Lazaraga, who was so strong in qualifying, struggling a little bit. And it may have looked at that point, folks, like Danny squeezed Chris just a little bit into that right-hander. Well, we've talked about it's these boats, it's a little tougher for them to make right turns than left just because of what we might call prop torque. But the other side of it is they can't see much behind them here. They're really enclosed in that cockpit. They have spotters that help. But look at the amount of time here that Danny now has been able to stay up on that foil. He's just booking right now. They figured something out after qualifying.
Absolutely. They make it look like it's just flat out racing, which, you know, to us it is, but there's so much going on in the cockpit. The amount of micro adjustments they're making on the wheel, you can see it there on the graphic there, that trim, how much that's changing. They're buttoning up and buttoning down on the wheel in order to get that foil in the perfect place to maximize speed in and out of the corners. But that's where you get a real benefit of having used steering wheels with pressing buttons and looking at dashes in other championships coming into this, whereas a lot of the others, maybe on the jet ski side and the powerboat side, don't have that experience.
And look at the lead here that Coleman has already built up at the end of that first lap, up by over 11 seconds. He is just putting on a little bit of a clinic out there right now. There you see Danny in the background for Team Checo as they are working up now. And the thing about when you do that mandatory long lap, when you're in the lead, sometimes you don't want to do that. You want to wait because you don't want to give up the potential of that nice smooth water in front. But on the other side of the coin, if a yacht goes by as you start that can make that long lap much, much bigger. So there's so much for the strategists to be thinking about.
Exactly, and where the long lap point is on this course layout, you know, right at the top end of the circuit is where the most turbulent water is going to be. Is where you lose that shielding of the coastline. You're probably going to be subject to the most amount of wake from passing boat traffic. So to have to go offline and go into that extra lap, then you open yourself up to turbulent water. But so, like you say, Greg, doing it in the cleanest water is absolutely crucial.
And right now, this is about as nice conditions as we've seen this weekend yet. You know, it's just these little ripples and the like, not bad at all, and they're really able to keep it up on the foil. And as you see, as they get into the turn, one of the things that Sam, in a conversation that we had, he said when you dip that foil, you want to make sure you don't get it too deep, because that's that biggest, you know, fattest, if you will, part of the foil, huge drag. And so you know, right there, he just got a little spray off it. He's really dialed in right now.
The balance is so important on these foils. You just want to be sitting in that perfect spot where the bottom of the hull is just kind of touching along the water in the center, avoiding too much shake or yawing from either side, where you're just getting your course and your position change left to right. And Coleman is looking really, really well balanced here. And you look at the difference of what's going on in the background. Team Checo bouncing around a lot more as they come in and out of the corners. Team Brady looking very balanced.
Yeah, he just has this boat right up on that foil, no issues, just glides it in. There was, none of that violent drop when he just made that turn. They've really got this figured out. He's doing a nice job. And I mean, he has turned a lap at a 1:32.0, just dropped that to a 1:30.9 now as he comes through. Next closest lap was Danny at a 37. So, but look at this now. Lizarraga has started to find some more paces and is closing on Danny Close. The margin is now down to under 2.5 seconds after having been fairly large comparatively.
There we go, Team Checo using their boost then just to kind of try and build that gap away from Team Rafa. We might be in a process now that if Team Checo and Team Rafa get in each other's way too much, you might have Brady coming round to meet them from the back.
Well, and I think that's, they've looked at the numbers, and you can see now Coleman for Team Brady has opted to do the long lap, and I think they've decided that with a margin of almost 30 seconds, he can do that long lap, stay in the lead when we get to the merge, and still have that smooth water. We've been sort of waiting, I think, for a run like this from Sam Coleman. He's so experienced in power boating, but we talked about it's difficult to make that adjustment. I mean, there goes Coleman just going out of frame on your left, and here is Close and Lizarraga. I mean, that's the margin that he has built up, and that included the long lap.
Yeah, and it's the sort of mastery of the water that you would expect from a two-time UK powerboat champion. But at the same time, doing it on a foil is a bit of a different matter. So it is just about getting up to speed with the feeling and with the adaptation to using the technology of these race birds.
And I love those shots looking back at the pilot, because you see some that just facial expressions galore. Coleman is just absolute calm concentration, and that comes from that experience you're talking about, doesn't it?
I think Team Brady, they're on a mission as well, because they started so well in Jeddah and Venice and then had that upset in Puerto Banús. This is their redemption story now, and Sam Coleman is writing the first chapter of that.
Boy, isn't he? And with a very quick pen. He is doing a superb job right now. Yeah, they came out of the gate, won both of the first rounds, and just superb. And right now, you can see Danny Close has been able to stretch that margin out once again. And if you look at the graphic on the top, you can see Coleman has his boost ready, as does Rafa. That's Chris Lizarraga. Now she hits it, and she's trying to make up time on Danny. Now, Danny has to wait till that cool down, as it's called, completes. Then he'll have boost ready. And I think that's what's frustrating Chris a little bit, because she boosts, she gets right up to him almost, then hers stops, and he can launch.
Yeah, that's the strategy. That knowing, looking at the screen is the same way we are, seeing when the other teams are using their boost and altering when you use yours as a kind of way to counter that. Very much part of the strategy. And the other role within the team is what the spotter is doing right now from that high vantage point, seeing potential disturbances that might come in the wake, seeing what the other teams are doing and advising the pilots in the cockpit.
Yeah, and there's a lot of communication going on. Sometimes when when he's in the zone like this, they're not going to talk to him. They're going to at one point they'll say long lap probably and let him pilot. Other times they'll be very chatty when they're talking strategy. But he's just got this hooked up right now, and we are coming around now. This should be it. About to complete lap number 5, and what a run he has put on here. Last turn for Sam Coleman. And the margin, it's fascinating, because the long laps have now been completed, and that margin is huge at this stage. So here we go, and Emma Kimmelainen, look at that. She is absolutely delighted with what Sam is doing out there.
Right, and you can't blame them, because this has been an incredible run. This is the perfect run. If you were to write it on paper, you wouldn't write it any better than this, would you? Perfect use of the long lap, great strategy, clear lead, clean water the whole way, spot on.
Yep. Dynamic win for Team Brady. Sam Coleman, absolutely, as we said, putting on a clinic here and bringing it home. There is a look at Sam as he is going to be making his way now back into the launch zone, and hopefully we'll be able to get a word with him when we get clearance. There's a certain point we can't interrupt him too much here when they're trying to get out of the racetrack zone, if you will. And there you can see sort of the lead jet ski that gives them an idea of where to head back into. And that big cruise ship's a new addition, came in overnight.
Absolutely, and for the best views in the house, actually.
Yeah, boy, you'd be up in the front deck of that, up in the bow. You're going to see some pretty spectacular stuff unfolding here. So let's see if we can check in with Sam Coleman.
Yeah, copy.
Hey Sam, this is Greg in the comms booth. That was a clinic, sir. Absolutely incredible run. You guys seem to have found something from yesterday.
Yeah, hey Greg, pretty happy with that race. It was super clean, well managed by the whole team, and they kept feeding me the right information where I could do what I needed to do to manage. But yesterday we maybe tried a couple of things, we found a couple of problems, and we're kind of more back to where we know, so we're really happy with that.
Well, you had built up enough of a lead to be able to do the long lap and stay well out front. That was just a superb run, Sam. That's got to give you big confidence, assuming you make it into the finals and you're off to a great start.
Yeah, it does. It's a good feeling, but we know that there's another race to go yet, so we'll focus on that one, and hopefully Emma can build on this as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. That was a joy to watch. Amazing run by Salmon, as we talked about. We've kind of been expecting something like that, and it's like he decided today to just unleash all of his angst.
Yeah, like you said,
get to it. Fabulous.
Clinical, just very, very well calculated, and it doesn't seem to be too bothered. It doesn't seem too high on energy, too pepped up. You know, very, very calm and collected. Just went out there, got the job done.
Yeah, team gave me good information. I just drove.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's how you want it to go. And I love the fact that, and you know, there were some tweaks after Puerto Banús done to the race birds, and so all the teams had to make those little adjustments. Clearly, Team Rafa did a nice job in front of qualifying, but qualifying also provided a ton of data, and that obviously was put to well use by Team Brady.
Yeah, I mean, there's such a huge difference between the sort of water you're going to contend with in qualifying when you've got relatively a bit of gap almost to breathe and have your own chance of doing your best lap. But when you've got two other race birds going against you and causing their own wake and their own turbulent water around you, you have to react, and that's where the experience, I think, of water comes and pays dividends. You know, knowing how to react to different conditions as they unfold around you and being able to put your boat in the perfect place is one thing. Then knowing how to do it in a race bird on a foil is another.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to give you a reference here, fastest time in qualifying, which did happen in the afternoon where the water gets a little choppier, was a 34 flat. He turned a 130.9. Here's a look at the race start, and you can see it just timed beautifully here for Sam. Got up to those cones. You can see those marker cones, and the green flag went. He nailed it, and they took off. But the moment, and here's you can see Chris just really hitting the boost, timing it to perfection. But then Coleman gets up on the boost as well. You can see he starts to match her pace and eases ahead just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to see here where all the time was lost, because Rafa, they had such a good start and really could have pulled away, got in the lead and almost done exactly what Team Brady did. But then something happened there where they just lost all their speed.
Yeah, and I think, you know, part of it ran out of boost, but also I think this wider outside line, and Danny right there was able to boost almost into the turn and closed up noticeably here. But it was a little bit later on in the race where some interesting moments unfolded, and between these two in this side-by-side battle for that second spot here as they work through here, everything looking really nice here, but it's coming up and to one of the delta buoy. All of these buoys, or smart marks as they call them, are labeled, and watch this. Look how close this is right here as Danny turns in.
Ooh, just shows to show you how much the race birds can be put off their balance, Jesse, if you get too close. I think what the strategy looked like there from Team Rafa was to take a wider line, have the cleaner water, hopefully get ahead enough to then cut inside and have the clear water, going for exactly what Team Brady did. But the difference is they maybe left it a little bit too late and the others were too close. So then turning in would get into that wake, completely unbalanced, take all the speed out. That's what happened. Yeah, unfortunately didn't work out this time.
Yeah, and that's the dynamic of the foils is, you know, they are so far offset, aren't they, that you hook one of them before the other one, and it just really torques the boat around, the race bird around. That was a very close moment, and I'm sure there'll be some discussion between the teams about, did you not see me? What was going on there? Because that was very, very close. But let's take a look now at the results from this first of our 6 semifinals. Finishing third for Team Rafa, that is Chris Ladaraga. Second, Danny Close. And after the frustrations yesterday, I think this will be very, very pleasing for that team and Danny. And then, of course, Sam Coleman, just absolutely an extraordinary run right there. And, you know, we've seen Emma put up some incredible runs earlier in the season, so they've come out of the gate swinging here.
Yeah, one step closer to that final now, which is exactly what they want to be. Get the chance to get maximum points this weekend and put the pressure back on Team Miami in the standings.
It's so close. I mean, it's only 3 points, so they certainly have the opportunity there. So pretty spectacular stuff. And, you know, Mr. Brady's here. And that is always going to be a great motivator for your pilots. This guy has 7 Super Bowl wins. It's like, and he said, you know, when you listen to these little interviews, he said, I want to win. I can't compete, but I still want to win. And look at that, Emma bringing a little fan because it is toasty here in Monaco right now. So, boy, look at the smiles on those faces. Great stuff. So let's take a look at the highlights once again from this one. We've already talked about that start, and you know, it looked like it was going to be really, really close. You know, once this got going here, and then Sam just checked out. But it looked for a minute right there like Chris had timed that to perfection, didn't it?
This is what, watch this moment now. So clearly this is on the boost. So there's all that extra power is being used, and that boost is going to run out. I think probably around about a few meters time from there, you start seeing the Team Rafa boat slow. That kind of well, what the colour is, it's like a beautiful burgundy orange colour. And as it stops, and then it just seems to be they left themselves a bit too wide, and then when they did have to cut in to get the better race line, to get that pace, it was too short.
Well, and it was, I think that that moment at that Delta Smart Mark where Chris literally almost had to stop, that cost her a lot of time, and she could never really regain it. So at the end of it, we saw the competition getting a little closer. Chris was able to close in a bit, and then she'd use the boost, but right as her boost would end, that's when Danny would hit it and be able to take off again. And throughout it all, of course, Emma watching, and I'm sure, you know, she was, you know, knocking on any kind of wood she could find, not trying to show the grin until Sam came through. But there you can see, after that, such a close margin for much of it, that was second and third coming through. But look at the technique that Sam Coleman putting on here, and now Sam Coleman has found Alex down on the launch zone area, so we can't wait to hear from Sam after an incredible run. Alex, what a story.
Sam, congratulations. You were confident when I saw you this morning, and for good reason. How was that race for you and reaction from yesterday?
That was much more how we, I don't want to say expected to win, but how we expected the boat to feel. It was a big improvement, a big step forward from yesterday. When we craned out last night, we found a couple of issues. We had heaps of water stuck in one of the foils, so that was causing instability and just things like this. But the water conditions were a little better. We managed to start well, and the team just gave me the best information in terms of the gaps, so I could also make sure I was calm, which I don't really lose it most of the time, but it's all great information to keep processing how the race is unfolding, so they did a great job.
Sam, brilliant. Over to Emma now.
Thanks.
Emma, moving to Emma, that's not any kind of a change. Really impressive. Now, semi-final 2 is coming up, and for Steve Aoki Racing, it's going to be Saud Ahmed, who put in an incredible run yesterday. Phelim Kavanagh for Team Blue Rising, and it'll be Sarah Price for Westbrook Racing. For Steve Aoki Racing, obviously Steve is one of the world's top DJs, hugely famous on that level, but Saud Ahmed has proven to be able to make the adjustment brilliantly here to these boats from jet ski.
For sure, taking from everything he'd learned from jet ski racing into electric four racing, and then on the other side, of course, you've got rally experience coming into the same. So kind of a bit of different disciplines there, hopefully helping build to one better way of thinking.
And then, of course, for Team Blue Rising, and this is the group owned by Marcelo Claret and his daughter Sienna, and Phelim Kavanagh, he is a really hardcore off and on-road motorcycle racer, and I love it that he's a sneakerhead as well, just loves his sneakers, and he has proven to be very adept moving from motorcycles into these race birds and being very quick. There's the local hero. We'll be seeing her in just a little bit. And Westbrook Racing, owned by none other than Academy Award winner Will Smith. Tell you, these owners are pretty impressive. As I said, professional stunt woman, and does an awful lot, but you know, loves dirt biking, wakeboarding, and she has won so many championships in motocross. It's just stunning what she's been able to achieve. Now making the adjustment over to the race birds of E1.
Yeah, for sure, very impressive. Let's have another look at this virtual map, because this is what we've seen them contend with so far this weekend, and there's a couple of points where you need to focus maybe with this next semi-final, which is the 2 sets of 3 corners at the bottom and the top of the course. The top of the course, that turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, the most turbulent point, the point where long lap is as well. Having a good entry into that, carrying as much speed around those 3 corners, and then a big exit, it's going to give you so much chance to use that boost, keeping clean water, and exactly what Team Brady did, and what ultimately got them the win.
Yep, it's when you use that boost has proven to be such a strategic play here, and you can see that the 3 race birds in the milling area, and again utilizing this sailing style of start, and you get in, you can see the countdown there, 17, 16. Now they will start making their move to that start line and starting to build up some speed, trying to time it perfectly.
Westbrook
to have
Racing.
Yeah, look at this, got that momentum going. Boy, this is going to be really close when they get there side by side. We are bows out and racing. And a great launch there by Saud. It looked for a minute like Sarah was going to be able to get it done, and Saud timed it to perfection. But now drops back just a little bit here. This is going to be fascinating to watch. And Phelim Kavanagh is the one who was gone right with Sarah. I think Saud just went a little too early and had to check up.
Yeah, I think that's the case. And now this is going to be an interesting battle into that first, as we were just talking about then, those 3 corners at the top of the circuit. Who gets the best line? It's Westbrook Racing that have taken the best line. Now, keeping that minimum speed nice and balanced throughout these 3 corners, and then getting back on the power for the straight. Maybe the use of boost if they haven't left. It looks like that's going to be on the next lap. This is a crucial moment in the lap.
It really is, because it sort of sets the stage, and just a superb job on that launch by Sarah Price, timing it. Look at Saud now trying to get out of the wake, running a little wider line behind Phelim Kavanagh to try and build speed. There's Lucas Ordonez, who is the second driver, if you will, for the Westbrook Racing team. That beautiful red race bird out front here. Then the multicolored one. Look at this. Kavanagh is starting to feel a little bit of pressure, and what a move by Saud. He turned in and then cut to the right hard to get back on some nice smooth water. He is doing everything he can to find a way into this second spot.
Potentially seeing a rinse and repeat of what we almost saw in the last race here. You know, having that first boat getting out into the lead and having so much clean, clear water to be able to maximize performance on, whilst the others 2 have to race each other, maybe cause themselves a bit of trouble. And exactly what we're seeing, these beautiful shots here of close electric full racing. This is amazing.
And look at this. Now you can see that we had just seen Saud had gone onto the boost and had opened up that little margin. Now he's in the cool down, but it was enough to put him in front of Phelim Kavanagh. And this is a superb battle going on. Meanwhile, Sarah Price, after 1 lap, has opened up a lead of about 8 seconds. And as you said, this is reminiscent of what Coleman did here. And at this stage, Phelim has to figure it out. There you can see the gap as Sarah already up into that sequence of corners here, as you said, on the high side of the course.
The overtake we just saw there from Sarah Ahmed for Araki Racing, it did exactly what it needed to do. It get into the better position and get on the racing line, and then just cause all this turbulent wake behind him to cause Phelim all sorts of problems. And now as a result, he's thought, you know, I lost so much time there, I may as well do the long lap now and get a better run at this next straight.
Well, and that's the thing, is that sometimes if you lost that time, if you go to the long lap, you come out of it now, and with that deficit that you get, you've got clear water again, smooth. You can let it fly a little bit and hopefully make up that time. But what really impressed me there was Saud, that read coming through that right-hander, when he cut in behind, popped right off to that right side, got into some clear water, and then just ran that outside line and just carried so much speed. And right now, Saud, he has turned the fastest first sector of anyone in this race. So he is starting to really find some speed. And that margin has been cut down by 8, from 8 seconds to 5.5. So he is on the move.
I mean, there's also the other elements there, potentially choice of prop, which has a bit of a difference in terms of acceleration versus top speed. So getting that right, and if you get a bit of a lead like we've seen with Westbrook, like we saw with Brady in the last race, that prop decision, that prop choice can go a long way too.
Absolutely, and you saw points are awarded for each position, finishing position here in these semifinals, and after both of the semifinal groups have run, they're tallied, and that determines who goes straight to the final, who goes to the playoff, and who goes to the place race. And we'll get into that a little bit more later. But right now, Saud doing an absolutely stellar job. That margin, Sarah has been able to open it up just a little bit again, and I think that's why Saud said, well, let's do the long lap, get me back into some clean water, and hopefully, you know, from his standpoint, he wants to make pace up by doing that. And there's Lucas going, yeah, look at that. I love that, the questioning. What, you know, what's going on here at this stage? And, you know, at some point, Sarah's got to do that long lap.
Exactly, and that's the thing. You want to do it in the perfect opportunity where you're not going to lose too much time. And I think if I'm Phelan Kavanagh now, I'm looking at trying to make up as much time now, get really onto the back, not too much into the weight, but start bridging the gap. So when they do have to do that long lap, really maximize that opportunity.
Well, and that's what I'm kind of curious about. When Phelan saw Saud use that outside line and be able to match his pace just because it wasn't as tight of a corner, do you start thinking about, well, maybe I need to open up some of these angles and just let this thing have its head just a bit here? You know, you've got to react to what you're seeing drivers, the other pilots doing, and if they're going quicker than you, learn from them, right?
Yeah, being caught up in all of the wake and having to battle with someone is only ever going to slow you down. It's going to slow both of you down. So there is an element of, you know what, I've just lost this position. Let's create some clean air and let's try to build up some pace here, use the long lap, put myself into an advantageous position, and hopefully try and bridge the gap, which is what he's trying to do now. He's still a little bit off the pace, but Team Westbrook are just flying out into the lead. It has to be said how impressive they've been so far in this championship since joining.
And look, you see on the graphic there, it says Westbrook, and then in red, boost on. And what happens, you get every minute, you get 20 seconds of boost. So when you boost, you get 20 seconds, you have to wait 40 seconds, and then you get it back again. And Sarah has been very judicious in how she's using that. And the last time by, her margin was 20 seconds. That's enough for her to do that long lap and still be able to come out in front. And you just have to get it done before the checker flag comes out. And so she's waiting until late, and why not? She has a really smooth race course relative to most everybody else. And I've been just really impressed with how she's kept that up on the foil, and that the underside of that craft has not been slapping the water. And folks, because there's no engine sound, you can hear, and anytime you hear those thumps, that's when that hull is smashing into the water. That slows you down immensely. And look at this, she's just kept it up on the floor. It's just really, really beautiful what she's doing.
It's really, really well balanced. You know, it's smooth on the foil, like you're saying. You're not seeing too much yawing. You're not seeing that the boat almost move on its angle left and right, like it's being pushed left and right. And that just shows you that's a good setup. That's not putting the foils too high out of the water where they can catch them all to catch drag and throw you off center.
And I was going to ask you, yesterday in qualifying, we were seeing trim, oftentimes trims over 1 or under -1. She's just keeping that. I've never seen it. Well, just there for the first time, it went up and over 5.
Yeah, trim definitely lower than it was yesterday, and I think that's because the conditions are slightly calmer today. Right. They're trying to keep that nose out of the water yesterday by having a slightly higher trim. We saw some, pushing almost up to 2 in yesterday's qualifying. But yeah, Sarah Price just kind of balancing around that 0.3 up to 0.5 mark. So slightly favouring a higher trim, therefore kind of making the boat go, the nose of the boat go lower in the water and creating that centre of gravity, nice stability, and doing exactly what she's doing, which is keeping a calm run.
And look at this, she's completing her long lap, and she's got a sizable margin still in hand over Saud Ahmed as she comes through the merge, and he has got a really nice handle on second spot right now, as Saud has about 15 seconds in hand over Phelan Kavanagh. But wow, what an absolutely stellar run Sarah is putting in here. Phenomenal performance for Westbrook Racing. Will Smith, you're pretty sure he's watching somewhere, and he's probably really enthralled right now. Look at that, just a little hint of a grin there. I think she's going, this is what this should feel like.
I think here both the team and Will, as the team owner, will be very, very happy with this, especially just hitting the ground running in this championship. When the odds are stacked against you, there's no powerboat, no watercraft experience, and coming in from the worlds of rally, coming in from the worlds of track racing, and just doing very, very well indeed.
And came in their first race after they missed Jeddah, podium. And overall, look at Lucas. He is absolutely delighted here. And she has come through and takes that win. What a run by Westbrook Racing and Sarah Price. Watching here, Saud Ahmed, as he is coming around trying to complete. And make a note of this. Sarah's best lap was a 37. Her long lap was a 45. So that's 13 seconds thereabouts for that long lap, an additional 13 seconds. So all three have completed right now, and that was another absolutely superb run. So we've seen them put things together here. We're going to check in with Sarah Price on board that beautiful red Racebird. Sarah, this is Greg in the comms booth. An absolutely superb run. We saw a little bit of a grin on your face. That looked like it felt really nice.
Yeah, guys, that was an awesome run. I'm so stoked for our team. Freaking, hopefully we make Will Smith proud. We have our other team owners here, Tomas, and man, it's just amazing. You know, to go out there and get a win after such a bad qualifier and getting that penalty, this is really a redemption. And I have so much faith in Lucas. He's going to absolutely kill it.
Well, and it's clear that you made some gains in terms of getting this boat set up for today. It just looks so well balanced, Sarah.
Yeah, we do a lot of homework. We have Steve Curtis and
All right, thanks, Sarah. Yeah, obviously they do a lot of homework. You have to. You can't stop. Nobody can sit on their laurels or rest on their laurels and expect to go back out and have a strong run. And I'm sure they were well motivated. That penalty they got, and it was just it was an unsafe turn, and they're always going to enforce that firmly, and it just killed them in qualifying. But man, they decided we're still going to have a shot in the semifinals, and just blew it out of the water.
Yeah, they did very well. A bit of a dream team when it comes to strategy there. Just thinking about their experience with track racing. You know, on one side you've got LMP2 and GP2 and endurance racing.
Right.
On the other side you've got rally, and they're kind of combining all that knowledge to create a perfect strategy to make a run like that happen. And so maybe it isn't all about the powerboats.
Absolutely beautifully as well. And yeah, they also have the team principal is Philip Allen, who's got a lot of experience. So here's how it turned out. Phelim Kavanagh struggling just a little bit for Team Blue Rising. And Aoki Racing, Saud Ahmed, what a comeback drive he put in there. And then, of course, Sarah Price, just another dominant run for Westbrook Racing. Let's go back and take a look at some of the highlights of that one. And the start was really interesting. And you can see right there, Sarah really started to hit it. Saud had gone early and then had to check up just a little bit and then lost a lot of ground. But Kavanagh, right at that point, looked like he'd done the job.
Absolutely, yeah. A crucial couple of points as well, actually, for Aoki Racing against Team Blue Rising, who are, all about 11 points behind in the standings. Yes. So, in their little battle going on there within what we're seeing on screen now in this semi-final versus the championship battle, there are some crucial points that have been earned there for second place.
You can see right as they got to the turn-in point, Sarah was able to grab about 3 Racebird lengths at this stage. And then this is when Saud, running that outside line that we had talked about, was able to get around on Phelim, and then they got in the straight, and he just took off and briefly looked like he was going to close in on Sarah, and it was almost as if Sarah said, yeah, that's not going to happen, and just checked out.
Yeah, a great use of boost as well. We saw really good strategy at play in that semi-final.
Yep, and there was that little grin that we saw, and there's Lucas celebrating, and that red Racebird absolutely flying. Wow. That's that multi-axis that we were talking about that you have to deal with those foils, and it just makes it so spectacular, doesn't it? And there's Sarah, popped open the cover. It's warm again. There's no question the humidity's starting to build, and but you know what? A win like that is about as refreshing as it gets.
Absolutely, well said.
All right, that's the Racebirds that have already competed, and then of course we do have one more semifinal to run in this first round. Then all of these Racebirds come back to the launch zone, get recharged, and we swap out the drivers. And for those of you who might just be tuning in for the first time, the way the format works, each of these teams has 2 pilots, 1 female, one male. Only one of the pilots are allowed to have any marine type of racing experience. And so that makes it very interesting. And some of the teams, like Westbrook Racing, don't have anybody with a marine racing background, whether it's jet ski, power boats, anything like that. But obviously, they have figured out a way to make this work. And we've talked about it already just here at this event, how if you are a powerboat specialist, it's not necessarily an easy step either, because you've got to unlearn some things with these foils. And you know, Sam Coleman was able to obviously figure that out.
Yeah, the sport's almost been designed that every benefit you get from having experience in watercraft and powerboat racing or jet skiing is kind of balanced or counteracted by a thing you might not be used to, whether it be the way you approach a corner and the way you use the trim to slow the boat down, or having to use the foil or the steering wheel. It's been very well balanced, and that does create the opportunity for results like we saw here, where on one hand you have a powerboat racer like Sam Coleman win a semi-final, and then the other hand you have Team Westbrook with no powerboat experience or jet ski experience get a win in the next semi-final.
Yeah, and you know, and even down to the steering wheel, because obviously, you know, powerboat racers and jet ski racers, they don't have a steering wheel with multiple paddles and buttons and trim and comms and all that. So they've got to just deal with those things. I mean, it really sort of drills down to a minutia level that you've got to be able to you know, have the bandwidth to deal with.
And in the example of Westbrook Racing, that's something that both Sarah and Lucas will have so in experience in abundance, because that's what they've known since they were racing very young. Sarah very used to that in Extreme E as well, being thrown around in the car. So yeah.
And look at the energy. You come out of that boat after a run like that, and just absolutely elated, and why not? The adrenaline's pumping, but you know, you get out after a tough run, you still have adrenaline, but it's directed in a little bit more of a downturn type of way. And I love to see them come out with those expressions of that's what it feels like, and that's what makes it so special. And speaking of special, there you go. Look up there, just centered left. That is the Royal Palace here, and you know, again, this is a principality, and it is such a special place on so many different levels, and to have that. You know, that overwatching the entire harbor and everything it's regal.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a scene, a setting that people who are familiar watching Formula One or Formula E or Monaco Historic will know all too well. This harbour, the bay, the home of motorsport for, you know, almost 100 years.
Yeah, it's a very, very special place, and E1 delighted to be here. It's a natural location, and down on the launch zone is Alex.
Sarah, congratulations. I just heard you say it, your first real win by yourself. How did that feel?
It was awesome. You know, at the last races, we have such an amazing team effort, and that is why we have success, I think, because we just have the best team. And yeah, at the last race, I didn't win a semi. Lucas did. And so this is my first actual semi where I won crossing the finish line in first. So feels good. And, you know, after a qualifier and getting the penalty, it's to come back on this. It's just amazing feeling. I'm just so proud of the team and what we've built and what we keep achieving.
How did you find the conditions out there today? Were they perfect for you?
The conditions are actually better than yesterday. I think this big cruise ship's kind of causing a roadblock in the marina for us, so it's actually helping us out. But yesterday there was a lot of yachts going in and out, and so that was really making it bumpy on the course for us. And if you guys don't know, these boats are very, very sensitive, and so every little wave, it means something. And so we're very busy in the cockpit trying to keep the boat always happy. There's no one setting that keeps it happy, so it's always a finesse.
How hopeful are you this could be a great day for Westbrook Racing?
I'm very hopeful. I have total faith in our team and in Lucas. Lucas is going to go out there and absolutely kill it. I just know it.
Sarah, thank you so much. Well done.
Thank you.
Well, he has proven up to the task. We saw a remarkable run from him in their first event. Again, we can't stress enough, they missed the opener in Jeddah and then showed up at round 2 in Venice and promptly went right onto the podium, and Lucas played a huge role in that. Here we go, semi-final 3 of 6 for Team Drogba, owned by football legend Didier Drogba, Youssef Al Abdul Razak, and then for Team Miami, owned by Mark Anthony, Eric Stark, massive power boating experience, and Team Brazil, it will be replacement reserve driver Stefan Hagen, who will be out for that team. And for Team Drogba, there is a look at Mr. Youssef Al Abdul Razak, and he has had so many jet ski championships, and his friends tend to call him the Razak Attack, and we saw that play out yesterday. He had a superb qualifying run.
Let's see if he can Rizaka tuck those first gates and get ahead into the lead and do what the others have done to get that win.
Absolutely. And of course, in one of his competitors' race birds, Team Miami from Mark Anthony. And this is Eric Stark. And talk about a guy with powerboating experience. I mean, how many? 4 Formula 2 World Championships, I think, in powerboating. Lots of experience. And loves gardening and loves golf to the point he actually grooms part of his yard into a putting green.
Love that. Love that. That's the dream right there.
Yep. And I'm sure that's his Zen escape here, is out there gardening. And so that is the second one. And then it will be Team Brazil, and this is Marcelo Claret's group, and this is our reserve driver, Stefan Hagen. Also, lots of experience in the world of powerboating, but they struggled a little bit yesterday, in his runs, and they haven't been racing this whole season. He's had some times in these race birds, but nothing like his competitors.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you the experience of racing in E1. And the conditions and learning about the race birds. But let's have a look at a couple of things I want to point out here, what we've seen so far, because so far in the 2 semi-finals that we've had, the race has been won or lost between turn 1 and turn 2. It's that entrance into the gate, having that max speed, using the boost to your full advantage, and whoever has been in the lead after turn 2 on that first lap has gone on to win the last 2 semi-finals. So will that be the case again in the next one?
And comfortably too. That's been the the surprising thing here for sure. But it is crucial, these starts. And we are now within 30 seconds. You can see the countdown there in the blue box. And again, at some point, they're going to start their move toward the start line. And it's just a matter of timing it to perfection and deciding, okay, when can I really get after it here? And let's see what happens. A good start there, look by Team Drogba. Let's see if everybody's fairly even here. Way to the inside. That was a big jump there. Good launch by Brazil.
That's perfectly timed.
Yes.
That is perfectly timed.
Absolutely superb. But the question is, if you boosted, did you go too soon? It looks like that may be happening as Hagen's starting to lose some pace and get swamped by Eric Stark. That is the blue and dark blue craft. And then on the outside here is Team Drogba. And they really nailed it there with Yusuf Abdul Razak.
That's a big move there, and they would have seen the previous 2 semi-finals and how important it was getting ahead at this point on the first lap, and that is everything. That might have been the move that could go and win this semi-final.
Yep, and we saw Team Brazil there up on the boost, but look at this. This is about as foil to foil as it gets, sweeping around those smart marks. And now the long run as they head back toward the harbor area. 2 different lanes, but both of them really carrying a lot of speed. And Abdul Razak has been able to stick right with him here and is sitting back in that position as well. This is great stuff, so close.
This is really strong, and the sort of performance you'd expect. I was about to say from the championship leaders of Team Miami, using that boost now to try and get that lead back, but also being counteracted by the boost used by Team Drogba. This is going to go neck to neck.
It really is, and Stefan Hagen is not that far back. He's losing a little bit of ground here, and now Abdul Razak able to ease away just a little bit. Really quick second sector. That's why he's got that margin now over Eric Stark. But one thing we've seen with Eric is oftentimes his first couple of laps in these races, he's just sort of plodding, and then he comes alive. But the concern here is you don't want to lose too much time, and he's already adrift by about 5 seconds.
And now we look at, now we're into the second lap. The use of the long lap is now open to anyone, and this is going to be a very key part of the strategy of this semi-final, because they are much closer together as a 3 than we've seen so far in any semi-finals today. So when do you use it now if you're Team Drogba and maybe sacrifice the position but have that clean water to do it, or do you keep going, try and have the confidence you can build a gap and do it later? But one thing is for sure, it's much closer in this semi-final.
It is, and remember we had done a little bit of extrapolating, and it's about 13, let's call it 13 to 15 seconds for that long lap. And right away, and I think this is a good move, Stefan Hagen for Team Brazil decides, let's get that done and get me a little bit of space. I'll be in much smoother water, and again, maybe able to build up some time. Up front, Abdul Razak continues to lead. He too has opened it up to about 9 seconds as we're about halfway through the second lap. And this is what we've seen in the first 2. By the end of the second lap, margins of over 10 seconds. That's pretty substantial.
But there was about a 17-second gap between first and third then when Team Brazil went into the long lap. So a little bit more than what we saw from Sarah Price with that 13 seconds use of the long lap. But making up that time, making up 4 or 5 seconds is very possible using the boost and having that perfect entry and exit to keep the race bird stable, balanced, and really maximize the power. And that's where the setup comes into it. So yes, they might have the strategy, but have they got the setup and the prop choice to maximize their performances here?
You saw the Team Brazil crew looking at the data, looking at the computers, watching what's going on, and Drogba really doing a nice job. A 1:33.1, best lap of the race by Youssef Abdul Razak here, and we go back and just watch the performance here of Team Brazil, struggling a little bit for Stefan Haugen, just cannot really get that thing dialed up a little bit. And now Abdul Razak, his margin over second place is about 15 seconds, and so he's pretty close. You don't want to do it yet, because at 15 seconds you come out and you might have a lead, but you might, any little issue, you could get stuck behind somebody and then you're in the wake. You want to have a little bit more built up if you possibly can. And let's be honest, these are racers, and racers are greedy.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't be misguided by the distance it looks like on the course right now from the cameras, because as you said, Greg, there, when they use that long lap, that will change things. The Drogba team have got to try and build that gap to the point where they have a comfortable lead. They can come back out in front. Now they've been the only team that haven't used a long lap, and this is really a crucial lap. How much time can they build using their boosts effectively, trying to keep the race bird as balanced as possible?
And I found it interesting, we're seeing some really good speeds here. 33.1 by Youssef, really, really fast. Fastest qualifying lap was a 34. And Sarah's observation about that big cruise ship sitting there might be deflecting some of these waves from these yachts and just changing it up a little bit. And there you see, that's Marcelo Claret and his daughter Sienna. They co-own this team, and really interested in what's going on here. Right now, Stefan Haugen just cannot get that boat, that race bird, to do what he wants it to do, and continues to just lose a little bit of time. And again, in his defense, he has not had a season of racing in this either. So
yeah, the biggest learning curve for him, and of course his wife as well, standing in Team Checo Perez. But yeah, it's a lot to do when you've got another whole grid of teams that have been with 3 races of experience to then just turn up in the semi-final and hope to be competitive.
Well, and I think the thing to point out is the one thing that probably the biggest adjustments for Stefan and Yeva is the fact that when you're on the boost and you're just flat chat, when you get to that high end of the speed on the boost, it gets really unstable on the foil. And I've been noticing that all of a sudden his boat starts to drop and do things, and I look and he's just ending his boost run. And so I think maybe a little bit different approach to the boost, like we've talked about, coming out of the turns, use it to get that launch, not necessarily in an outright flat out run.
Sure. I mean, look at that. That is a world-class backdrop, and that just says everything you need to know. Unreal. And so this potentially could be the lap that Team Drogba go to use their long lap. They haven't done it yet. And like you said there, Greg, the use of the boost is so important, because it can easily be a disadvantage if you use it in the wrong place or you activate it at the wrong time and you're not quite stable enough to really make the most of that power. This is a good example of when to use it. you're straight, you're flat, you're in clean water, use all that speed, and I would be fairly sure they might go for a long lap here.
I would think, it's this or on the, well, you kind of have to, because they've now completed 4 laps, so they've got to do it on this one, or they would end up with a disqualification, and they're on top of that for sure. His margin over second is 30 seconds, so he's got tons of time to be able to get around on that long lap, and there you can see, as he begins that long lap, where the other competitors are. Again, Eric Stark for Team Miami has the fastest first sector of anybody, but just coming a bit too late. Plus, he has done that long lap already, as you pointed out. So it's all going to be a matter of where does Youssef Abdul Razak come out of the merge, and he's going to have plenty of a gap, good clean water, and be able to just keep it humming here. And once again, we're seeing, look at the balance on that. It just comes up and he just stays up very level, and even when it does drop a little bit, it's still an incredibly smooth run. He's just doing a superb job.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at Team Brazil, there's about 11 seconds off the pace there, off the lap pace. So there's some lessons to be learned for the next semi-final for sure. And maybe trying to tap into whatever strategy or setup's been used by the other teams to maximize that balance and use of power and everything. And maybe it's about also just understanding the conditions around you, like Sarah was saying, with that blocking with the big cruise ship blocking any water coming in from passing racecraft or leisure craft. It's gone a long way.
Well, you know, there's so much to be thinking about here, and watching as he comes through the line, boy, what an impressive run for Youssef Al Abdul Razak. Just an incredible run. We'll see exactly what the victory margin is going to be. He came out of the merge and still had almost 20 seconds in hand. So a fabulous run as now it is Eric Stark coming through and taking the checkers in that second spot. And there you can see that is his co-pilot right there, Anna Glennon, and I'm sure she's a little bit nonplussed at this point, just seeing the margin that was put up here.
That win has gone a long way. You know, the points accrued for that win. You know, they're currently 7 points behind the top 3 and only 1 point ahead of the 2 behind. So that's given them a bit of a window now going into this next semi-final, hopefully to push and actually continue those points towards the end of the day when the points matter.
Yes.
And be in a better place in the championship standings.
All right, let's check in with the pilot of Team Drogba. Youssef, this is Greg in the commentary booth. I think we just discovered why they call you the Razak Attack. What a run you put in.
Yes, thankfully we strategized just before the race, and it worked perfectly. But I started in the third lane, and it was a smooth lane for me, and I got the first at the end of the 3 buoys over there.
And the Racebird looked incredibly balanced today. You really have come up with a setup, haven't you?
Yes, we worked a lot. We tried in the practice, a couple of setups, and thankfully it worked out in the race today.
Congratulations, a great start to the semifinals. I mean, just nailed it. And we have seen, you know, more dominant runs here than we've seen, well, really at any point in the season in these semifinal runs. These teams that have nailed it have really clicked.
There's a good point you just made there about just altering the strategy just before going out, and it's kind of the same in a lot of motorsports, isn't it? Just looking at the conditions, looking at what might change. You can't go into a weekend with a plan A and expect that to be the only thing that you do for the whole weekend. You have to adapt to the conditions, especially on water, because you've got all these natural forces working against you that are changing almost by the minute.
All right, and now we are going to check in with the driver Stefan Hagen. And Stefan Hagen, one of our reserve drivers, and coming in with a bit of pressure. Stefan, this is Greg in the commentary booth. You've got some pressure on your shoulders coming in a reserve role. How are you finding E1 racing?
Please repeat, I have not understand you right.
This is your first race. How is it going?
Yeah, still a bit difficult. I still need more time in the boats until I can replace the place from Timmy like I want, but yeah, cannot change it for now.
All right, Stefan, I know it's a big step coming in and racing these boats. Thank you, and we'll see more of you for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a steep learning curve, as we said. Even though they've got some time in these Racebirds, it's not like they've been racing them all season long. And you can hear the frustration, I think, that you know, he said, I've got more to do.
Yeah, and as a team as well, Team Brazil have had a strong last few races, and they're level with Team Westbrook. And you know, in terms of performance, one is looking much better than the other right now.
Yep, here you go. Third place for Team Brazil, Stefan Hagen. Second place, Eric Stark for Team Miami. And then another dominant run, Youssef Al Abdul Razak for Team Drogba. And boy, I'll tell you, we've just seen some remarkable performances by the winning Racebirds in each of these 3 semifinals before. Just dominant runs. And the gloves are off, no question. They have figured some stuff out here. Let's take a look at some highlights here. And this looked like it was going to be one of the closest starts that we had. It really was. And we were hopeful at that point that meant we were going to have a close race for the duration. And you can see down to the inside for a moment there, Stefan Hagen had it, but it looked like he may have boosted a little bit too soon. And when he ran out of boost, the other two really launched.
Yeah, I mean, that just shows you again, it isn't the Seabird, the Racebird in front at that point. It seems like they've got something sorted out and they're going to have the clear water. But every time so far, it's just changed at that point between turn 1 and turn 2. Has made a huge difference. So we really need to pay very, very close attention to maybe what's going on behind that person that has the initial launch, because that seems to be where the best position is to be.
Yeah, and it's just so crucial. And then it's when you use the boost, and I think that's where Stefan Hagen has been struggling just a little bit here and trying to figure it out. No such problems for Youssef Al Abdul Razak for Team Drogba, and Alex Aljo has caught their team principal. Check that is our Team Brazil principals.
Ever own a sport team that races, I don't think there's a better place in the world than to be watching your team race here.
And with your daughter as well, how special is that?
Always special to share those special moments with your family.
Sienna, what was it like to be co-owner, working alongside your father? We had the question yesterday, who's in charge?
There's a right answer to that, and there's an answer I can't answer, so I'm going to say him for today. But it's definitely an amazing opportunity to be able to work alongside my dad. He's my role model. So.
Team Brazil currently 3rd in the championship. How hopeful are you this could be a fantastic weekend?
We want it to be a fantastic weekend. We just got to the first semifinals, not the results we wanted. We just tested a new pilot, but we got our superstar Katie coming next, and she needs to deliver that first place in order for us to move to the next round.
What would be your message to KTV going into this?
Win or win. No, honestly, give it your best. I mean, I know the amount of hard work. We have such a big team. A lot of people don't see what happens behind the scenes, the engineers and the entire team that supports, these 2 pilots for them to go do their jobs. So all we ask them is to give their best. And, we're all learning this new sport, and I'm sure she's going to do a good job, as she always does.
Yeah, absolutely important to remember just how much this championship is doing for the fight for climate change. I know it's something that's close to your heart, Sienna, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. Sustainability has always been something really, really close to my heart. I mean, I'm the generation that's supposed to save the world.
Confident you can?
What's that?
Confident you can save the world with this E1 championship?
Well, it definitely is a right step in the right direction, and we all have to contribute our piece. And I think a sport of this magnitude and the people behind this amazing race, all the different owners, organization, all that, I think we all share a common vision that we will contribute to give our piece, our little piece, to make sure that the world is a better place.
Thank you. Good luck and enjoy your day.
Thank you. Thank you.
And there's a great example there of the reason behind the racing with E1. But just looking ahead to this last of the semi-final, or next to the semi-finals, talk about pressure or motivation, calling Katie Bunnings a superstar and saying win or win.
Yes, I know, and but that's what the reality is when you finish 3rd in one of the semifinals, you've got to almost get a win to have a shot at it here. Here you see where we sit after the first round of semifinals. It is Team Brady, Westbrook, and Drogba, all with dominant wins. So the other teams, when they flip pilots and they flip lanes, and that's the other key here, is they're going to flip the lanes, and maybe that will change things up. Potentially.
I mean, again, that first set of corners, or that first kind of how you utilize going through the gate and where you are when you get to that turn 3, 4, 5, is where every semi-final has been won or lost so far.
Yeah, and so, obviously everybody's watching, they're studying their competition, and now with that change of pilot and change of starting lane, now they can strategize just a little bit. And as you talked about, sometimes you win. Those who win are often those who are the best at adapting to what's unfolding out there. Everybody now has seen the course, they know what's going on, and now they just need to take these next few minutes here to be able to adjust, change their strategy, and get ready to come back out with the next set of pilots, the second set of pilots here at E1 Monaco in the harbor of this glorious principality. Welcome back to Monaco. Tom Brady, one of the celebrity owners of these wonderful teams, on site enjoying an absolutely stunning day here in the harbor of this beautiful municipality, this principality, in fact, and getting ready for our second round of the semifinals that are going to be coming up. You can see one of the big cruise ships in the harbor. Some of the pilots think that might be deflecting some of the waves. That's nice. And, you know, at the end of the day, you want to go have a little gambling fun, taking a ballet or an opera right there in the casino and the casino complex. And folks enjoying all of the atmosphere in what is called the Ocean Club that they set up. You know, this is a place of great glamour, and it is such a joy for us to be able to be here with E1. And it's such a dynamic relationship, I think, you know, considering there is such a focus on marine ecology here in Monaco in general.
For sure, and that's because I guess the heritage, not just within the car racing on the land, but also, you know, Monaco is known as this place that's collected of some of the world's biggest and best boats in the world, and coming to the French Riviera and just getting involved with everything that coastline has to offer. There's a kind of mutual respect with what the coastline is and what's happening underneath the water as well, and that, you know, it's got to a pretty bad place in the last few decades. Yep. And now the attention needs to be drawn to the work that should be done to protect those environments.
Absolutely. And you know, one of the things as we watch the boats that are the race birds that are going to be heading out here shortly, we have that shot of La Roche de Monaco, the rock, just around the side where we can't quite see is an amazing facility called the Musée Oceanographique de Monaco, and it is a museum that was created by royal decree a number of years ago, and it's a real focal point of marine sciences and trying, and you know, so Monaco's so invested. Obviously, they understand it's this harbor that is their future, and it's the seas that are their future, and they get that, and they work so hard at it. So it's such a great fit for E1 to be here with the mission of this series.
Yeah, it's an absolutely fair trade-off, right? The ocean provides so much for us. Now it's our time to protect those provisions.
And there's Alejandro Agag, who is the co-founder, and of course he's the one who created Formula E essentially, and Extreme E. He is the E god in a lot of ways. And when Rodi Basso went to him and said, look, we can do the same thing on the water, he was in right away. And what they've done in a very short time is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it's incredible work. It's not just, as we've said there, connecting awareness to very important issues like marine ecology, but it's also seeing what the future of technology can look like within that kind of foil powerboat space, which obviously is utilized by so many people, you know, none the least in Monaco.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And these race birds are some staggeringly cool new tech that has such a great implication on what's coming up here. We're getting ready for our second round of semifinals and getting ready to go here, and you can see it is Team Brady is one of the race birds that is going to be heading out onto this race course in very short order. Let's take a look at what's going to unfold here. Look at this view, absolutely stunning. Coming out for Team Checo, owned by Formula One driver Sergio Perez. Reserve driver Jeva Miller-Hagen will be coming out. For Team Brady, Emma Kymäläinen, who has been very impressive in what she has done so far this season. And for Team Rafa, owned by Rafael Nadal, Tom Schaap. And Tom, hugely experienced, and looking for him to have a breakthrough run. And there is a look at our reserve driver, a couple along with Stefan Hagen, both of them extremely experienced.
For sure, and I think this is a super exciting matchup. Now, we said it before in the first semi-final, the idea of being able to connect Checo Perez, Formula One driver, Tom Brady, you know, NFL legend, and Rafa Nadal, tennis legend, in their own race on the water, incredible stuff.
Yeah, it really is. That's what makes this series so exciting on so many levels. Here is Emma Kymäläinen, and I'll tell you what, she is such a pilot in a formula car. She has done some great stuff, but she also just gets into snowmobiling and mountain biking, and of course, you know, for her Zen moment, she dances and paints. When she crawls into this race bird, she's for real, and she has put in some absolutely superb performances. I think she and Sam have just gelled beautifully. And for Team Rafa, here he is, Tom Schaap, also incredibly experienced in the world of powerboating, and had that big moment, if you recall, if you watched Puerto Banús, when he got a little too aggressive, broke the nose on his race bird. We talked to him a little bit after that. He was frustrated with that. He said it won't happen again, and he's excited to be able to make amends here, and has already shown some really good speed in his sessions. But of course, all these teams have to conquer one challenging race course.
Exactly, yeah, and it all starts with that entrance and exit out of the gates into the first set of corners, where we have seen these semi-finals being won or lost. It's about putting yourself in that perfect position, heading down that first straight into turn 1, little kink at turn 2, and then you have that turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, kind of mini hairpin, and then from 5, 6, all the way through 7, it's about getting the balance of the race bird right, getting on the power, ready to do it all again on the next lap.
All right, we are waiting for that 30-second count. It has begun, and so we are getting ready for the start here. And in the first 3 semifinals that have been run, in every one of them, one of these race birds got out to a huge lead and was able to maintain it. Here we go. They are starting to move. Schaap for Rafa, Emma Kymäläinen for Brady, and for Team Checo right there, Yeva going and trying to get a little bit of a move on. She had to check up just a little bit, and that led Schaap and Kymäläinen actually nose ahead right now. Now, does Yeva read it again? Back off. They're coming up to that start line here, and it's all a matter of timing, and we are bows out and racing. This is very, very even here, and by rule, the 2 boats that are on screen right here have to stay to that side of that red buoy. The other ones would be to the outside. These are fairly close here, but now we come to that crucial turn, and look at that. Was a heck of a move by Schaap. Used the boost at the right time. Sliced up, but now Emma noses ahead once again. We are foil to foil. This is absolutely superb. Closest start we've seen so far.
For sure. Brady and Rafa trying to time that really, really well, but Rafa just got in the upper hand as it stands, going into this first hairpin set of corners, 3, 4, 5. Now coming out of this exit of turn 5 onto the next straight on this final sector, or the second of 3 sectors. This is where the ground could be made up and the difference can be made. Can Team Rafa hold this position? Look at that. They're disturbing the water for the 2 boats behind them, creating wake, throwing them completely off balance whilst increasing their own lead.
And again, there's nothing wrong with, if you are clear of the race birds behind you, to drift over a little bit, try and get them into the rough water. That's just good racecraft. Staying fairly close. You can see Team Rafa, Schaap, up on the boost. And again, the way that works, you get 20 seconds of boost, then you have to wait 40 seconds for it to sort of recharge and cool down. Then you can boost again. Emma Kymäläinen on boost at turn-in. This is kind of interesting, you know, waiting till later and then staying on the boost a little bit through the turn-in, trying to carry more speed through the corners here. But Tom Schaap, he has a superb opening lap here and puts it out here. Now remember, these combined standings you see on the screen, they factor in where you are in terms of both pilots, and it's a simple points tally, and that determines who's on top, as they are the only 3 who have done now competed in 2 semifinals. That's why they're going to show up first on the screen. But Schaap, again, starting to open it up. And I wanted to ask you, in those first 3 semifinal rounds, we saw one race bird just really go and just be able to check out. What's your thoughts on what might be, giving them that kind of a launch?
I think it largely is down to that timing, of when they choose their moment to go through the gate, when to use the boost on that first long straight. I think ultimately the balance and the setup, and one thing that teams can customize is the use of prop. Now there's 3 props that they can choose, and that ultimately changes whether you're going to opt for a more acceleration favourable setup or a more top speed favourable setup. On calmer waters, if you've got the balance right, you might want to go for a top speed, which could be the difference of why when they do get ahead, they stay ahead.
Yeah, it's and they found something here, and you can see Tom Brady with Alejandro Agag watching and seeing Emma Kymäläinen slipping backwards. She's 14 seconds adrift. This is what we have seen in the first ones. And basically, if Tom Schaap at this stage, we think if he can finish second or better, they would be through probably to the final round. He would like to get after it at this stage. And if Checo finishes in second, that would be obviously pretty crucial too. But he's not taking any chances. He's just driving away.
Yeah, of course, the best of the second place is advancing as well. But if Checo is able to get into second place in this semi-final, then that will give the points necessary for Brady to, having lost those points, and ultimately finishing third in this semi-final, to then within the combined standings get Rafa into that top spot.
And that's obviously really crucial, and for Team Brady as well. Remember, after winning both of the opening races, ended up not making it to the finals in Puerto Banús. So, you know, that's mission one for them, is do what we have to do to get into a shot at the finals at this stage. And unfortunately, right now for Team Checo, again, Yeva just not able to match the pace, certainly of Tom Schaap, but struggling right now to be able to stay with Emma Kymäläinen.
So Emma Kymäläinen just used the long lap and is about an 11-second gap so far. So when Team Rafa get into that long lap, they need it to work very well. It needs to be very, very time efficient. They can't lose too much time, because as we saw, 13 to 15 seconds is kind of the window that you might lose in the long lap.
Yeah, and if you time it wrong and you do your long lap and then you come out at the merge and you get stuck behind one of the other race birds, you're in that rough water, in that wake, and that is going to cost you time. So lots of strategy at play here. Emma Kymäläinen is setting the fastest first sector of anyone so far in this semifinal. So she's starting to find a little bit of speed, but the problem is, as you said, there's a lot of ground that she is going to need to make up here. But as you pointed out, both long laps are done, and it's still really close at this stage for Tom, isn't it?
14 seconds a gap. This could be pretty close once Team Rafa go in, do their long lap. It might come out with just a few seconds in. So Tom really needs to hammer down on this lap, build up as much time as possible to give himself the breathing room when using the long lap.
You see there right now, Emma recently used her boost. You can see it on the cool down, and Tom Schaap has boost on demand. It is ready whenever he wants it here. And there is Tom Brady watching that beautiful golden colored race bird in the hands of this very quick Finn. Emma Kymäläinen really putting it down here. Now it is Team Rafa, Schaap up on the boost, trying to build that margin as you were talking about, and he needs to, because Emma has trimmed that. She had trimmed it down to 13 seconds. Now it's back up to about that same margin, and so it's not yet, I would think, super comfortable for him at this stage. And he has completed that long lap, and you can see at the merge, pretty close.
Absolutely, it was well timed to use the boost right at the good moment, going just before into the long lap, maximizing the acceleration to kind of hold the speed through the long lap and lose as little time as possible. And it has worked. He's retained the lead, or it kept the lead, and now this is just about keeping the race bird balance and getting the win, bringing it home.
Absolutely, and we're just, we haven't seen it yet, but if somebody completes a long lap and there are two race birds coming together at the merge, Inside Boat has priority on that lane, so you can't just carve into them. We haven't had anything on a merge at this point of the competition quite that close. And remember here, looking at the combined standings, it literally is a points tally from how you finish in the first semifinal and then how your co-pilot finishes in the second semifinal. That puts you where you are. So at the end of this one, we'll be able to see who's leading. These are the only three race birds who have now run in two semifinals. That's why they are alone up there right now. That will be changed. At this point, this would mean Brady goes directly to the final. If you win one of your semifinal combos, you go right to the final round, and that's crucial. You don't have to worry about another race, in a place race or a potential playoff, and that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's much closer now than we've seen between first and second in the semi-finals so far, all the way into the final laps. Whereas, Team Checo, Perez, a little bit off the pace a bit, and again we're seeing an example of the challenge of being a reserve driver with Yeva Miller-Hagen coming in and just kind of struggling maybe to get up to speed with all the complexities that come with racing a race bird.
Interestingly, her last lap, however, was 5 seconds quicker than Schaap's last lap. And obviously that's because of that long lap, but she's starting to find a little bit of pace. But Emma Kymäläinen, as you talked about, has trimmed that margin down to only 6 seconds. It was actually down under 5, but then Schaap was able to get on the boost a little bit. But now you can see Emma right behind in the spray on the boost, and as she starts to close in, Tom Schaap goes hard onto the boost as well, but this is close. And obviously the camera compresses things just a little bit, but how spectacular are these visuals with these race birds running that close, the spray flying off of the foils. This is spectacular stuff. It's spectacular tech, and what a similarly spectacular run here for Tom Schaap. But that margin again, she has trimmed it down to under 4 seconds. Coming to the line, Schaap will get the win for Rafa, but Kymäläinen slices through into second for fifth, and Tom Schaap, they will be going along with Brady with that finish. Brady will be going straight to the final. What a comeback after a struggle in Puerto Banús.
Yeah, a huge redemption story there with the team boss Tom Brady on site to motivate them, give some pep talks, some team speeches now going into the final and try and bring that win home, because that is a man that knows nothing other than winning. Yeah,
that is such a truth. And you think of his story in so many ways. When he wasn't drafted well, wasn't really considered a top prospect, and came in and said, "I'm going to prove to you what I can do," and boy, has gone to the record book so many times. All right, we're going to see if we can chat with Emma Kymäläinen and Team Brady. Emma, this is Greg in the comms booth. You got it done. That second place finish looks like you might be going straight into the final. That must make you thrilled. All right, obviously a little struggle for her to be hearing us at this point. She may have been talking, obviously, to one of the engineers on the radio there, but a great run for her. I mean, after having dropped back by 14, 15 seconds to finish that close, absolutely superb. And that second place finish, that was the key there in the finals after missing the finals at round 3.
Yeah, really brought the gap down. Impressive running from Emma there. But it's always going to be hard to try and bridge the gap on someone ahead when you're just going to deal with all of that turbulent water and that wake. You have to pick your lines perfectly. But of course, when you're trying to chase down someone like Tom Schaap with so much powerboat experience, knowing how to utilize the water and keep the craft balanced, it's really the last person you want to be behind, I think. One of the last, anyway.
I think you're absolutely right. And to me, the interesting thing there was it looked like every time she'd get close, whoever was treating him as a spotter for Schaap, you could almost hear him saying, "Okay, just ease right, yeah. Move over, keep her in some of that chop." And she did everything she could to get the win. Didn't get the win in the semifinal, but in a way gets the bigger win going direct into the final here because of the run that Sam Coleman put in this first semifinal round. So Team Brady looks to be right back on it here, back on track, as Emma brings that beautiful gold race bird back into the launch zone. So let's take a look right now at the combined finals here for this group of 3 for the semifinals at this stage. There you can see Jeva Hagen, they end up third in this one combined. Team Rafa, Chris Lazaraga, and Tom Schaap second, and then it is Team Brady with Coleman's big win and Emma's solid second, going straight into the finals. And so that is really crucial for them.
Tom Brady team showing the performance we've seen from them multiple times this season, but also credit where it's due to Rafa for stepping up and showing the performance that they have shown but not ultimately delivered on before this weekend.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, take a look here at some of these highlights here. Once again, it looked like a very even start here. And you can see Schaap was actually having a little bit more of a struggle for a bit. And Emma got up onto the foil really nicely and started to ease ahead. But Tom was not to be outdone. And right using that inside lane we've talked about, got through that first Charlie buoy, and that was it, into the lead.
Once again, it's whoever's in the lead on that first lap through turns 3, 4, 5 that can try and hold that lead and get the win. And again, that has been the case.
And then you see the focus there of Tom and the focus of Emma, and she closed it up. And this was some of the more spectacular video we have seen at this stage as they come through the line, having closed it down and going into the finals for Team Brady. For Team Rafa, they are going straight into the race-off, which means they have a shot. If they win the race-off, you can still make it into the final round and run the semifinal or the finals. So they're not out of it by any means. But Sam, absolutely delighted. He had such a strong first semifinal. Emma backing it up with a solid run. They're moving forward.
Yeah, and they ultimately, at the end of the weekend, they want to move forward that one position ahead into the lead of the championship to get ahead of Team Miami with just a couple of races to go of the season.
That's the key, isn't it? Looking forward to, everybody wants to be champions of the water. That's what it's being deemed here. Look at that, Tom Schaap, big run as he hops out of that orange and purple Team Rafa boat, again owned by tennis legend Rafa Nadal, and getting a little help with the helmet coming off, the comms and all of that, talking to the team. And you know, these racers, they get out, yes, they're elated, they're happy, but one of the first things they want to do is also pass along information and say, okay, here's what I learned, keep this in mind when we you know, start getting ready for our next race.
I think Tom's going to be taking a lot of motivation from that, a lot of confidence you can secure from that performance, because yes, it isn't the combined win to get you straight into the final, but also just to win in that race. There's a lot of confidence that can be drawn from that, especially when he's had so many opportunities where he's looked to have the performance, as the team as well have as a partnership, but just kind of fallen at the last hurdle or had a problem, and now that is a result finally they can say all the hard work has finally paid off.
Absolutely, and you know, that's the key here. There's Yeva again. You know, first time in race trim now in one of these birds. She did the qualifying rounds, but first time she's actually raced. And you know, they're just learning every time. Obviously, trying to build up the knowledge base, build up the confidence for them to be able to be really competitive here.
Absolutely.
Of course, going to a little bit of a debrief right now, and we will have another semifinal round coming up here in short order. But right now, it's Team Brady first to go straight into the finals. Rafa going into the playoff race for a shot still at making it into the final rounds. So E1 at Monaco, what a setting, and it continues from this glorious venue. amazing setting of Monaco, known for the massive yachts in the harbor, but there are those who favor wind power as well. And out on a glorious day, and there's an awful lot of people on the back of that wind, that sailboat right there, that are enjoying watching race birds going after it. And you know, one of the nice things about being on a sailboat is the quiet.
Yeah.
Well, with the race birds, you can be on your sailboat and it's still quiet.
Yeah, I think what an incredible way to spend a Sunday on both parts.
Absolutely. And of course, in the Ocean Club, not a bad way to spend a Sunday either, obviously, where the VIPs are here as we get ready to continue. Look at that crew enjoying every moment of what's unfolding here on this great course here in Monaco for the E1 competitors.
You're talking about wind power. That's something that has actually stepped up a little bit as these semi-finals have progressed. We do have a bit more wind to contend with, just over 5.5 kilometers per hour wind to deal with at the moment. It's not going to make a huge difference, but it will start change the swell a little bit and the chop a tiny bit. So we might see conditions moving a bit closer to what we saw yesterday in qualifying.
And of course, that can just slow times down a little bit. We've talked about it. To be successful in any kind of racing, but certainly I would think here adaptability is everything. And you know, we kind of forget sometimes, don't we, about what's going on with the water under the surface. You can get churns and certain currents that come through low, and they grab those foils and they can do things too. So there's so much they have to be reacting to.
Yeah, of course. The underwater geography of a coastline plays a massive difference in how the waves end up being at the point of break or at the point of, their tide. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's lots of things to consider, but that is where these guys, use all their expertise in championships, not just with the pilots themselves, but the teams, to understand how that might impact the racing, how to adapt, how to change strategy to reflect that. Yeah, it's a full team package, and we've seen some getting the better hand of it over the others so far today.
Yeah, there's so many things that you need to be thinking about, but the other side of the coin, from, all right, what prop do we use and how do we do this? The strategists have to be really reading things, looking at things, going, okay, we can't do what we did in that first semifinal now. We've got to change it up, and always reading the course, reading what's happening here. And you can see they got fans that are kicking in pretty solidly there. It's toasty in Monaco, and the humidity is also on the rise as well. So that is something to keep an eye on here. Our second of the second round of semifinal runs. This is going to be interesting here. It was Westbrook Racing, Sarah Price doing a great job getting the win in that first semifinal. That gives them a really solid position here. It was Saud Ahmed with a really solid run. Fayoki Racing up into the second spot, and then Phelim Kavanagh struggling a little bit for Team Blue Rising. And if you've got a third, you almost have to win to have a shot here.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure that is going to be put on for local favorite Lisa Battaglia. She lives here in Monaco. She said, I believe I will be the first female Monegasque to ever race in a professional event at home. This is a big moment, but she's got to go up against Lucas Ordonez in this red racebird.
Yeah, it's a great story, and Westbrook have really hit the ground running this season, and now they just do it again in one more semi-final.
This one should be awesome. All right, let's take a look at our starting grid for this second semifinal of the second round. Lucas Ordonez for Will Smith's Westbrook Racing. Lisa Battaglia lives just up the hill here for Virat Kohli's Team Blue Rising, and Michele Lobedan, who will be there for Steve Aoki Racing, and getting ready for this 5-lap semifinal. Again, crucial for anybody that didn't get a win in that first round to finish well up front. Let's look a little bit closer. Lucas Ordonez for Westbrook Racing. He's a guy who came through gaming and was the first Nissan GT Academy winner, and has converted that into a hugely successful sports car racing career.
Yeah, very different way to get into motorsport. Actually an athlete as well. Competing in Ironman as well. Apparently, Cook's a great pilot. Something he's actually offered the paddock before, so we should take him up on that.
Yes, I think that's a wise idea. And let's take a look for Team Blue Rising. And here is our real story. Lisa Battaglia, again, local here. She's somewhat of a Renaissance woman, in my opinion. Look at this. She's a jet ski racer, but she plays the violin, cello, piano, accordion. She has a master's degree in philosophy, and she's even been an actress in traveling stage shows. She is a Renaissance lady, and she said, I want to do this at home. This is big for me. We hope she can pull it off. And for Aoki Racing Team, here is Michelle Lobadan. An interesting story here. You know, she comes out of this. She's a rally driver. She has actually done successful stages in the Dakar Rally. Absolutely loves. And she said her Zen moment is she puts on a scuba kit and goes under the water and just floats. She said she just loves doing that. So apparently water is in her soul. This is the course that they are going to have to be dealing with here, Saunders.
Yeah, it's a good one. We've seen a lot of action so far today and yesterday in qualifying. 1.5 kilometer long race lap, 7 turns on a normal racing lap. They've got the extra 300 meters or so to use on the long lap, which all teams will have to do each race from the second lap onwards. Now, using that has been very divisive so far in these semi-finals. So let's see, 1, who gets out of the gates first and leads into the first corners, and 2, who uses the long lap strategy the most effectively.
All right, 30 seconds now to the start, and again, it was Westbrook Racing. Sarah just put on an absolute stonking clinic in her race. Gives them certainly a big heads up, but it was Aoki Racing who was very impressive in the qualifying rounds. Another impressive run in the first of those semifinals, and then Phelim Kavanaugh struggling. So this lady, Lisa Gussain, she's got to really pull one out. She's done it before with some absolutely great runs. Here we go, and what a launch if they timed it right. Lucas Adonia's own a touch.
It comes together.
A touch between second and third. Oh boy, that somebody did not stay in their lane. That is going to be really looked at closely here, and that gives Westbrook a huge margin.
That has played in beautifully into the hands of Team Westbrook, just to maximise on the performance that they already showed in the first semi-final. Going now into this first set of corners, can they maintain this lead? It's about smooth, consistent balance and efficiency through these corners. It looks pretty good so far. They've got all of that clean water, no turbulence to contend with whatsoever, where you're looking at Team Blue Rising have fallen right off the back of the pack, and it's going to be hard to come back from there.
Look at that corner by that is Michelle Lobadan, and you can see Lucas did a big wide entry into that, left a lot of clear water on the inside. She just squared up on it, does it again, comes through, and now this is going to be a boost off, I think, as they head down here side by side. We go for this lead here, and there goes the Westbrook boat. You can see Lucas right as he turns into that tricky right-hander, goes to the boost, and Michelle Lobadan going right with him for Aoki.
Westbrook just have the upper hand at the moment, but Lucas lost a lot of time in that hairpin set of corners there. Also taking the wider line, like you said, Greg, but also then being caught up in some trouble as he tried to get back on the faster racing line. And that's a very smooth corner there. Great entry, great exit. You can see the amount of time that's been built up there. But the same can be said for Aoki Racing behind and Michelle.
Yeah, and you can see Michelle right there realized, all right, he's now got that inside line. She crossed the wake, went to the outside, looking for a little bit more of that smoother water. Still, though, losing just a little bit of ground. And as it looks like things have settled at the front just a little bit, let's go back and take a look at what happened on the start between Michelle Lobadan and Lisa Gussain Battaglia. An incredibly close moment that might have some implications on this race. Right here, look, you know, everything was fine at this point, but just watch those two boats closest to us, the white, green, and gold boat and the multicolored orange, white, and blue machine. These race birds, awfully close call.
There's very little benefit to being that close to another race bird at the start like this. It's all about maximizing the clear water. It's about maximizing the speed into the first set of corners and trying to get ahead. And if you're coming together like this, it's just going to affect both of you. And on this side of the story, it's Team Blue Rising that have been affected the most. And now they are quite a bit back in the 3, whilst Team Westbrook still lead ahead. But yeah, you can see the frustration in the cockpit there.
Yeah, and that is a real concern, and I'm sure she was, saying, was I impinged? Was I impeded in any way? Team Blue Rising, Lisa Gussain, and the team deciding smartly, this is the time. Let's do the long lap, give ourselves some nice, clear, smooth water, and try and make some time up right now. But up front, Lucas Ordonez, we have seen this, has opened up a lead of about 6.5 seconds at this point over Michelle Lobadan, and Lisa Gussain has some serious work to do.
Yeah, a lot of work to be done there, but now we are seeing a similar story that we saw in the last semi-final when it comes to the long lap of these two leading teams, because there is less than a 10-second gap between Westbrook and Aoki, which means using that long lap might cost somewhere between 10 to 15 seconds. So it's going to be a big chance now for Aoki to push down minimise the gap on Team Westbrook, to minimise any possibility of still not winning this race, where Team Westbrook really need to choose very wisely when they use a long lap, because at the moment they do not have the window to go in and still come out in the lead.
Well, you know what? Just showing here, we're getting word from race direction, because of that contact, the number 77 boat of Michele Lobadan for Aoki Racing, a penalty long lap for impeding. So that's going to suddenly open that up big time for Lucas Ordonez, and that will bring Lisa Gussain right back in to potentially a second place. And a second and a third, it's going to be close to see whether there's an opportunity there.
That's music to Team Westbrook's ears, that, isn't it? You know, because it was getting really close, and there was every chance that that long lap had not, if it hadn't gone well, might have cost them the lead. But yes, now that penalty means there's an additional long lap for Team Aoki, which is going to cost them a lot of time, and maybe even an opportunity for Team Blue Rising, with only having to do one long lap, which they've already done, to bridge that gap and maybe even push for a second position.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out, because that is going to be crucial here. But you have to do, when you get that penalty, as you said, it's an additional long lap. And depending upon the severity of the penalty, it can be 2 additional long laps. I mean, you know, they can, make that judgment call. But as we watch here, Lucas Ordonez complete lap number 3. Fastest lap of the race, turned by him, no surprise, at a 1 minute 38.4. Well quicker than Michele or Lisa Gussain Battaglia. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. You can see now Michele down into the final complex of corners here, those smart marks, and we'll talk a little bit more about them. They are pretty amazing tech in their own right here, and it's going to be interesting to see when does that long lap for Michele happen, the penalty long lap.
Exactly, and the hometown hero of Lisa doing very well to just improve timings throughout this, her own timings throughout this semi-final. And now, you know, look at the gap between Aoki Racing and Blue Rising. It's shortened down to very much within the window of the time lost for going in the long lap, and Aoki have one additional long lap to do, with Blue Rising having done theirs out of the way, ready now just to try and hammer down and secure that second position, because it's possible, Greg.
Oh, it is absolutely possible. And Westbrook Racing, Lucas Ordonez, with the margin they had at this stage, he has now completed his mandatory long lap, and he will still have plenty of room for him to be able to continue on here, and he did that on his 4th lap. So he'll come through, one more lap to go after this one, but he comes through and maintains all of that clear water. But we are definitely seeing, you talked about the winds, we're starting to see just a little, it's not chopped necessarily, but you can see that it's getting stirred up now.
Yeah, slightly more tricky conditions to contend with, but hopefully that would have been spotted in advance by the spotters, by the rest of the team, and they would have tweaked that strategy, maybe some of the setup, in order to combat that.
All right, and here's the story. Lisa Gussain Battaglia now, as Michele Lobadan has done that second long lap, it is completed. It is a 3.8 second margin between second and third. There it is. Lisa, 14 Blue Rising, has that lead. And there's Michele Lobadan. And you talked about it. Lisa has been improving her laps, and she just needs to stay there to give them any type of a shot here. And for Aoki Racing, obviously a second and a third. It's going to be interesting, because both of them will have seconds and thirds, and then it will go to the combined time. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the judgment is at the end of this one. Looks pretty solid right now, obviously, for Lucas Ordonez. Plenty of margin, but here's the battle that is really of concern. But look at, I just look up at Westbrook, Lucas boosting on, man. He is just, I'm going to dominate this one. And you want to do that even when you have a big lead. Why? Data, information, right?
Absolutely, and as the conditions change, it's data in different conditions, which is really useful for not just the rest of today, but the rest of the season as well. Team Westbrook, just, you know, round of applause, because they have come in with one less race of experience than anybody else and hit the ground running so well. Will Smith, team owner, will be ecstatic about this performance today.
Well, he talked about in the video, his introductory video, they wanted to make a splash. They have. There's no question about that. And if this margin that Lucas has right now stays, and a second penalty long lap for Michele Lobadan. I'm not sure if that was, part of the original penalty, or whether something else has gone wrong. But for Ordonez, he is cruising.
I'm not sure they had done their penalty long lap yet. I think that they'd left their first one later on. I think that now they've done both.
All right.
This is more reflective of where they are, but it just shows that how close it was within the one lap. And Sarah Price there, the Team Westbrook, happy about this unbelievable performance from Lucas.
Lucas comes through, gets the win. Look at the intensity. He is loving this, and that's a 30, officially a third. Well, at this point, we'll have to wait and see. But Lisa is doing what she needed to do here. She just turned a 142.1 on her last lap. That was quicker than Ordóñez. She has found it. The local Monegasque driver has found it on her last lap and has stretched that margin over Michelle Alobadan. And wow, what a story here. And there you go. There was a second long lap penalty assigned. It was for dangerous driving as well, and that may have just been, that impeding, and they decided it needed to be a 2-lap penalty instead of 1. But what a story for the local driver to be able to fight back like that. But I'm looking at the margin of victory here. Check this out. When you combine what Lucas did with what I recall Sarah doing, about a 50-second combined margin of victory in 2 semifinals. Westbrook Racing is hooked up.
That's some serious performance there. Whatever they've been able to tap into, whether it being strategy, whether it being prop choice, whether it being a kind of use of the trim to work for both of them, it's just worked exceptionally well today in the races.
And you can see the team for Aoki Racing having a big chat right now about what happened. And it looks like you can see they're kind of showing with the hand gestures and then nodding that, yep, that did happen. This is not a questionable penalty, you would think. You hate it for Michelle because she's just trying to get out there and win, get after it here. And there is that boat. And the question is, there is a little scuff on that, so there was definitely a little bit of contact there.
Yeah, it just shows you the importance of that starting gate and getting out in the best possible condition you can. You've got to race your own race, not get caught up in the nonsense, and just try and get out into the lead. Unfortunately, it didn't work out this time for them.
Well, all 3 of them making their way back toward the launch zone as our second round of semifinals comes to a close here. And boy, some drama unfolding in this one, and it's going to be interesting. But meanwhile, let's see if we can talk to Lucas Ordóñez after another dominant run. Lucas, this is Greg in the comms booth. You and Sarah have been absolutely dominant. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a great start. Westbrook Racing, we've been working on the start really hard during the weekend, and we nailed it. So that was the key part. Starting from the back, starting last on the grid this morning. Sarah won his heat, I won my heat, starting from last. So what else I can ask? It's unbelievable. I think it's my 4th win. So yeah, really happy for Westbrook Racing. We have our bosses here watching us, so I'm so proud to join the finals straightforward, because this morning was, looking not great. So we are so happy. Thank you. Vamos.
Well done, Lucas. I have the feeling there may be some great paella in the paddock tonight. Just an absolutely superb run, and as I said, just
paella or whatever. I will have a good lunch now to get ready for the finals. And yeah, I want to say something personal, but you all know that my cousin Javi had a big medical issue in Puerto Banús when he was cheering with us, and this win is close for him, close for Javi. I love you, man.
All right, thank you so much, Lucas, and yes, best wishes on that as well. Yeah, tough story from Puerto Banús, but things are looking up for Javi, and that is really nice. But here's how it ended up with a couple of extra long lap penalties for Michelle Alobadan. Aoki Racing finishes in 3rd, and you hate to see it for him after qualifying 2nd and being 2nd in the semifinal. Lisa Gassane-Battaglia into the 2nd spot, a real fight back for her, and then Westbrook Racing with a dominant pairing and showing it obviously with 2 absolutely crushing wins in the semifinals.
So as it looks so far, we've got Team Blue, Brazing and Rafa in the race off. In the place race is Team Aoki and Team Checo Perez. So yeah, that's as it stands so far. The finals, Team Brady looking incredible and Team Westbrook Racing also looking good. That's setting itself up for a pretty spicy final, Greg.
That surely is. Right there you can see the touch, and it was clearly a touch because you can see Michelle's Racebird absolutely snap sideways, and we saw that big scuff at least on that, and both of them having to dive, and you can see Lisa, it just absolutely stalled her out as well. But man, watch it right here. That's a pretty good bump.
Yeah, that's a big bump, and it's the last thing you want, especially at that point when it's so sensitive. You've got to get through. You can create your own line, clear yourself with any turbulent water, and just get into a clear run and do the best you can. And that Westbrook, full benefits of all that chaos going on behind.
Look at the reaction up in the Ocean Club and in race control. Absolute jubilation. You could see the anger and frustration for Lisa, but it all comes good in a way because they have the opportunity. For Aoki and Checo going to the place race, that means they will not have a shot at the finals. There you see Lisa coming out. There comes Phelim down onto the dock after a lot of drama in the race. And you can see her going, what's up? What's happening here? And I'm sure he told her, no, we're through to the playoff. We have another shot at it. But then having a pretty intense discussion of what's happening and what happened in that contact during the course of the race. So they are through to the race-off and a shot at getting to the finals. E1 Monaco 2024, the first visit of this brand new series in its debut season, and showing what can be achieved here with electric power in the world of power boating, and the VIPs enjoying all the activities here in the Ocean Club as we are ready to go with our final semi-final race here for E1 Monaco. Team Brady and Tom Brady, they are elated already straight into the finals, as are Will Smith's Team Westbrook with a couple of dominant runs. 3 more race birds yet to go. And I'll tell you, Saunders, if you were traveling in Europe and you wanted to send a postcard home, this image right here wouldn't be a bad one.
That would be, it's the perfect one, especially in this setting, you know, with these beautiful race birds as well, sitting in the water with that amazing backdrop behind. It's one of the best places to do something like this, to bring electric foil racing to the ocean or the shores of Monaco in the same way we did in Venice, same way we did in Jeddah, and the same way we will be with Lake Como straight after this.
I know, how exciting is that going to be? Lake Como in Italy, that's going to be spectacular. And that is, you know, it should be a different water conditions, obviously, fresh water for one, but potentially calm where these birds can just fly. Who knows? So looking forward to that. And looking forward to this race too, because we've got some interesting developments here. Obviously, Youssef Abdul-Razak put in an absolutely stunning run for Team Drogba in that first race. Oban Duncan, who is somewhat of a phenom in many ways, will be coming out in there, the black and yellow race bird. But Anna Glennon trying to improve on what Eric Stark was able to do at second in his semifinal. And if she can get a win, that might be enough potentially to propel them right into the final. And then we've got the story of Team Brazil, the Marcelo Claret group, that are trying to find their way into at least the place-off here. And we heard them say Katie Munnings is our superstar, when obviously they have, you know, a support reserve driver in Stefan Hagen. And so Katie, boy, talk about the weight of the world in this one.
Yeah, she's the queen of electric there. She's raced in everything, or driven everything when it comes to Formula E, Extreme E, and now E1. She's got, yeah, a little bit of experience of trying all those different types of machinery. So yeah, all the credentials are there. She's a fighter. She knows she'll go full send into a corner if she needs to. Yeah, so you can see why she's got the nickname the superstar from her own team.
And you saw there Marcelo Claret as he is walking over to a spot to be able to watch as this one unfolds. Again, it's going to be Team Drogba, who were one of the top 3 qualifiers and showed some really good form. So not a surprise, perhaps, to see Youssef Abdul-Razak be able to put in that kind of a run in his run. But then Team Miami with Eric Stark and Team Brazil getting ready to go as well. And those race birds are out on the water and into the milling area, as they call it, where they just go out and circle until word comes for them to start their runs to that start-finish line. And looking forward to that. And look at the backdrop they'll be performing in front of here in this incredible venue, Monaco, a city so steeped in motorsports history and now on the water. So let's take a look at our starting lineup for this one. Team Brazil, Marcelo Claret's Team Brazil. Katie Munnings will be taking the helm, as you said, immensely experienced in things E, and we'll see what she's going to be able to do. Anna Glennon, she also a heck of a competitor for Team Miami. And then Oban Duncan, who is really something special, and we'll talk more about her in just a little bit here. That's your lineup for the final of our semi-final runs. Team Brazil's Claret group, there she is. Katie Munning getting ready to set sail here, and she has done so much in so many different forms of e-racing.
Yeah, I mean, still racing in Extreme E, of course, a rally champion, I think, at 18 as well, so experience, and just will open her arms to any challenge, any opportunity, and just go in and give it full commitment. And it's really exciting to see what she can do for E1 with Team Brazil.
I want to see her and hear her play the flute to Coldplay. I think that'd be pretty cool. There is Anna Glennon, as she is getting ready to go for Team Miami and ready to get going here. She is a top-level jet ski racer, and I love that one thing, owns more propellers than dresses. This is a woman who is deeply involved in motorsports.
Yeah, a great character as well, incredibly experienced, 8-time jet ski champion, and has shown some really good performances actually so far this season as well.
Yeah, she really has. And then, of course, here it is, our top qualifiers in this one. And there is Oban Duncan, 18 years old, is already about to complete her master's degree and has won something already like 10 British powerboating championships. She is a true phenom.
Supposedly the first one as well, when she was under 10 years old.
Yeah.
Which is an incredible experience from a very young age, now on the big stage of E1.
Yeah, when you have that kind of experience, you don't get nerved up too much, but this track might bring the nerves up a bit.
Especially because what we've seen so far today and the crucial of certain areas on this circuit. Of course, the entry point, that first lap through the gates is so crucial, where you can end up being into turns 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then after that point, you can really try and build the gap, going around, completing lap by lap, and choosing optimally when to use your long lap to lose as little time as possible and maximize your chances of winning.
Obviously, lots of communication between the pilot on board this beautiful race bird and the crews and the spotters. And been watching here, and it's always right about 16-15 seconds when they start to pick up the throttle to leave that area. And of course, that's well studied as well, because you want to hit that start line at max speed and have a nose ahead if at all possible. Very even at this start as they begin the run. We are bows out and racing here for the final time in the semifinal rounds. 3 abreast, really, really close. Another close call there. No contact, but obviously really looking to claim the same piece of track. But right now, into the lead, Anna Glennon for Team Miami gets at that nose ahead. Drogba sitting back in that second spot, but look at Brazil right in the mix. But look at those sets of swells coming through, really affecting the Brazil boat.
Team Drogba there using full boost to try and make up that gap on Team Miami. Can they do it into this really crucial part of the layout? This turns 3, 4, and 5. It's getting really close. That weight causing all sorts of imbalance for the race bird behind. That was Drogba on the boost, actually, a correction there. But it is getting very, very close. And maybe we can see this going a little bit further than we've seen so far, because this exit of this next turn is crucial. Who can get out in front, potentially use some boost if they have any, and try and build a gap?
Yeah, Drogba, they used it later, so they're still waiting for the cool down on the boost, and they don't have it ready. Mark Anthony's Team Miami pilot, Anna Glennon, has a boost, and obviously it's going to be one of those scenarios where, you know, a lot of times I think it's the crew that's saying up on the wall that are reading things going, yeah, wait on the boost, don't use it yet. And that's all part of the play here at this stage. Up front, the margin about 2 seconds in hand right now for Anna Glennon, but Oban Duncan moving way to the outside, trying to open the turn in, not have it be quite as tight, and really dives down to the inside, wondering if she's going to try and square up underneath. Looks like she might be doing exactly that. Where are they going to be when they exit the turn? It's still incredibly close, 1.3 seconds.
Oban trying to get the benefit there of going on a wider line and create a bit of a smoother turn, being able to get more on the power when she straightens up the race bird. Didn't really work out though, because she got a little bit too close to Team Miami, and Anna got caught in that bit of the wake, and then it just knocked the foil off, knocked the balance, and then therefore she couldn't really get on the power in the best way she wanted. But she is making up the positions now. She's making up the time right now, and that's getting much closer between these two in the lead.
And look at just the speed now. Oban Duncan coming up, using the outside through that tricky right-hander.
Oh, it's so close!
So close, really, really close. That couldn't have been more than a foot, and able to do it. But Oban now has fought hard for the inside. Oh, did she just cut that corner? She did. That will be a penalty. That will be a long lap penalty, I'm sure, for a course cut by Oban Duncan. Oh my, huge development here. And when you look at those combined standings, if you're first at the end of the semifinal combined, you go straight to the final. If you're second, you go to the playoff. If you're third, you go to the place race. But that looked like a course cut to me, didn't it?
Drama still potentially to come in this semi-final. We'll see whether it was something to avoid a collision potentially, and it's something that she had to do, but still, now all you need to do is head down, try and get the best time you can, get ahead if you can, because if that penalty does come your way, you want to limit any cost from having to do maybe an extra long lap.
Yeah, she just needs, as you said, just build the margin as much as you possibly can right now. And Anna Glennon, you know, she's got the memo from the crew up in race control that are saying, stay close, stay as close as you can. This is not by any means over. And that with Anna Glennon, with Eric Stark, they have 2 seconds at this stage. That would be a little bit sketchy with Oban Duncan and Team Drogba leading and after getting a win in the first one. But with that penalty, if we judge that right, this could change things up big time here, and we'll see how that plays out. But Oban right now absolutely flying. Her last lap was a 1:44.8. Next quickest was Anna at a 1:52.8. So Oban has the pace right now to lead, but does she have the pace to overcome a long lap if she gets one?
I think Team Brazil are a little bit too far behind to make as much of a use of that as Team Blue Rising did in the last semi-final. But what we're looking at here now is the long lap still hasn't been used from the 2 leaders of this pack of 3, Team Drogba and Team Miami, and they are close enough, just within 8 seconds of each other. So ultimately, doing it now, you would lose a position. And that would be the difference.
Smart move here, yeah. A
Team
smart
Miami
move here by Anna to do that long lap now. That'll put her in a little bit cleaner water. And see, and it just came up. Long lap penalty for Team Drogba, missing C.
So I wonder
Smart
if that
mark.
news came through to Team Miami just in time to think, right now, do the long lap because they're about to have a penalty, do the extra lap. And this is your opportunity now because you will get the benefit of clean water and maybe just as easy as 1 lap's time.
I think that's probably exactly what happened. I mean, that would seem to be the really savvy way to go about it here. And I'm sure now for Oban, she is just going to be beside herself at this point. As she has driven absolutely brilliantly, save for that one mistake, but boy, was it a big one.
Yeah, it's a big penalty, confirmation of that penalty now coming through. That will be happening in the next few laps, and it's a real shame because just looking at the pictures there before on the course circuit, is Team Drogba. They look so balanced. You know, the race bird was beautifully finding its way through those corners. All that performance is there that ultimately now is going to be dropped away because it's going to be hard to build enough of a lead to still maintain the lead after taking that penalty. But having said that, they have crept up now, and there's a good 20 seconds now between the 2.
That's true. And I mean, she could do one now and possibly still maintain that lead. Let's see if she does it. I mean, she actually has to because we're on lap 4, so she's going to need to do a long lap in both of these final laps at this stage to actually have that penalty served here. And off she goes. There she is. And so, that we've been seeing that delta at about 10 to 13 seconds, depending upon the water conditions. So let's see what happens for Oban as she brings that Team Drogba Racebird back around, heading toward the merge. And where is Anna Glennon? And looks like she is going to be able to comfortably clear it at this stage as she comes through, but she's got another one to do.
Yeah, exactly. So this could be really tight on the next use of that penalty long lap, to see where they come out, because it could be pretty close. The margin's there, the delta's there. This next lap, building up to the point of the long lap zone, is going to be crucial.
Yeah, and this is pretty interesting what we're seeing here, because having completed now we have to wait till she actually completes through scoring here on this 4th lap, but she may have built enough speed up here to be able to do it. I mean, her lap times continue to be tens of seconds quicker than anybody else out there right now. It's impressive what we're seeing from Oban. If she overcomes a long lap penalty, wow, what an achievement that will be.
That would be some serious piloting, and the sort of piloting you expect from someone with 10 championships.
That's true, even though just 18. And here she comes through, the margin 24.6. She's got it in hand. If she just keeps it going here, there's the potential for us to see something incredibly special happen in this one.
Yeah, for sure. And then we are just moments now of seeing whether this plan works out, whether all of that pace and efficiency has created enough of a gap to do that penalty long lap and still come out on top. I think it is, Greg. I think the work has been done. This is incredible work from Team Drogba.
Yeah, there she goes, off onto the long lap. And we'll watch, and you can see where Team Miami is there, that blue M floating along. And I think she's got it, and I think she's going to be able to clear coming back to the merge. And and the rule is the inside boat has the lane, but yeah, it's not even close. She is absolutely flying, Saunders.
And of course now with that combined standings, it means that Team Drogba, if things stay the same, will be promoted into the final up against the likes of Brady and Team Westbrook and Team Miami, then going through into the race-off. But yeah, this is going to be super interesting when we get to the finals and the race-off, because there are all the points up for grabs in those moments.
Yes.
They've done the work now, and this is where it becomes about those championship points.
Exactly. That is the whole concept at this stage. And you know, Youssef Al Abdul Razak in his semifinal had one of those dominating wins, so we knew this race bird was working. But Oben is absolutely flogging it, and the conditions are a bit worse, so the times aren't as impressive, but her performance is almost otherworldly at this stage. What we're seeing here, look at this run that she's putting together here, coming to the line. What a finish here as she comes through, having done 2 long laps. Team Drogba in the hands of the young phenom Oben Duncan, getting an amazingly solid win.
That was incredible work from Team Drogba and Oben Duncan there. That is just all of her class coming into fruition to be able to maintain that lead, even with the penalties. Unbelievable work.
Official margin at the line with a second long lap, 16+ seconds. That was just a remarkable performance by Oben Duncan, and again, Katie Munnings just not able to maintain the speed she needed to here, and will be coming around for, I'm sure, a frustrated third. You know, that's the game of motorsport, isn't it? And, you know, especially in a brand new series in a debut season with brand new tech. Sometimes it clicks, sometimes it doesn't.
It's a tough break, and I think her and the team will be disappointed with that, but ultimately that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, especially in that start gate procedure.
And let's check in with Oben Duncan. Oben, this is Greg in the comms booth. What a drive, overcoming a long lap penalty, just exceptional.
It was great. It wasn't the easiest race, but I think we've done absolutely outstanding today. The whole team should be really, really proud.
What happened with that that buoy cut? Did you just miss it, or did you get forced over?
It wasn't an easy decision, and I mean, when we're going at such speed, you've got to make split-second decisions. That's the choice they made. Hopefully it worked out, and we won the race in the end. So yeah, I can't complain.
Certainly not. That was epic, is the only way to put it. Congratulations. Again, she, you know, obviously she said it was a decision she had to make, so she felt maybe I have to go there and suffer the consequences. But what a fight back.
Yeah, and in the height of that moment, in the heat of the cockpit, like you say, you've got to make a decision, split second, and sometimes that feels like the better joy. And she's had the confidence in the pace as well. Maybe there's a belief that even if I do have a penalty, I feel confident enough to build up enough of a gap that it won't matter, and that's exactly what she did.
Yeah, she was just relentless in her pace, and for the first few laps she found herself, I mean, she was lapping 10 to 12 seconds quicker than anybody else out there. Near the end, Anna Glennon put in a really good lap and got to a 145 compared to Oben's best of a 141. So it was closing it up just a little bit, but it was, you know, her pace even in the earlier laps that was allowing her to put together that kind of speed and success. So let's take a look at the results of our 6th and final semifinal here. It was Katie Munnings in third for Team Brazil, and that's where they end up in the combined at this point. So they will be going to the place race. It will be Team Miami's Eric Stark and Anna Glennon. They will be going to the playoff with a shot at going to the final, and Team Drogba are going to be going straight into the final. So that's key. And what we say, a shot at the final, if you finish top 2 in the playoff, you get it, you can go to the final. So not out of it yet, but let's take a look at some highlights. Really, really close start. And once again, we saw another moment where things got really touchy right there. So close between those two.
Yeah, so tight. And this is the moment where you really start to see who's going to get out in front. But it does change very quickly. But it's all about that start procedure, isn't it? It isn't necessarily the person that comes through the gate first that ends up being in the lead.
Absolutely right. And here was the moment. You can see just how close it got. We were talking, what, maybe a foot at that point here. And it was right in that moment, I think, when we saw Oben have to make that decision. Which way am I going to go? Look at just how close that was. Opted to do that cut right here. She didn't think I don't have the room to be able to force it, and so opted to do the cut right there, and then realized, she knew what she'd done, clearly, and she said, now I'm just going to have to recover from it.
And we're talking barely a couple of meters before hitting that buoy mark as well. But then, even though with the penalty, having that added long lap to do, she still maintained her composure, kept putting in the good times, and got the win.
Yep, what a comeback drive by Oben Duncan, putting Drogba into the finals. What a performance. And there she comes back into the launch zone, climbing out of that race bird. And boy, I'll tell you, that kind of performance and the kind of performance that Abdul put in, you have to almost look at them. I mean, who do you choose here as a favorite going into the finals at this stage? Westbrook, look what they did. But this run was exceptional.
Congratulations by her team there. Looking pretty happy with herself, and she should do, because that was a great run.
That was extraordinary. And
Drogba, of course, watching on from the Ocean Club as well.
Didier Drogba is proud of that lineup in that race bird right now. Up she comes. There's getting some congratulations from the team. And what really impressed me here was it wasn't a mistake per se. It was a conscious decision that I'm not going to risk contact, because they'd had that really close call already. So I think she was thinking, clearly Anna is racing me hard here, and said, I'm not going to risk it. And I know this is going to be a penalty, but I'm not going to, I don't want to wreck.
For sure, and with the final to come as well, the last thing you want is to impact your potential performance of the race bird and have any issues you have to contend with. So, yeah, it was probably the right call, seeing on the replay how close they were. But yeah, ultimately she still got the job done, so kudos.
And there's Anna getting out. I'm sure Anna will be a little bit frustrated, because I think she thought, man, I've got this covered. Things are going to work here. And there's maybe something to be said over the fact that, had Oben got behind and into that wake, she may have struggled, with the speed. But with the speed she was showing, I don't think she'd have stayed there long in this one. She just seemed to be absolutely on a mission.
There's also the point that potentially Anna Glennon maybe tried to edge Oben into to make that force that decision, and think that if there is a penalty, I've got a chance here. But Oben was on another level, and it didn't matter.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great way to put it. Oben went to another level in this one, and it was amazing to see. Not a surprise when you look at her racing history here that she's capable of that. You think about Eric Stark and Tom Schaap and Sam Goldman, but she may have more experience than any of them on some levels here, just in terms of when she started and how long she's been doing it.
Yeah, incredible. A lot of experience, and then somehow still manages the time for a master's degree.
Yeah, at 18. Not sure exactly how that works at this stage, but wow, incredible story here. And look at the absolute beauty of this setting here, looking out over the Mediterranean and the beautiful yachts and the speedboats out in the harbor and out into the Med in front of Monaco. How lucky is this series to be able to race here and to have Monaco host this series as well? It's such a great dynamic for them to be able to be together here and doing what we are doing. But right now, let's get down to Alex with our winners.
Friend Oben gave me a little pinch when we got to that first buoy there, and as frustrating as that was, I had to make a quick decision whether or not I wanted to miss that buoy and get a penalty or hit her, and I figured maybe I'd send Drogba an invoice for the bill. So made it out okay in the start, and then Oben wanted to give it back later. I'm no stranger to dogfighting from jet ski racing, and I'm not afraid to throw a punch, so I'm not going to forget it, and I'll be back swinging later today.
Yeah, still in with a chance of going to the final. What is the approach now for you?
Just give them hell.
Feeling confident?
Absolutely, always.
Thank you. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, there's some drama unfolding here, and obviously both of them feeling a little bit wronged, and you know, that's going to make this a very, very intense final round, assuming obviously that Team Miami gets in there.
Have we just unsurfaced a little bit of a rivalry between Oban Duncan and Anna Glennon that might be one that not just lasts through to the final, but maybe into the next races as well?
Absolutely. The drama building here in E1 Monaco, and that's just through the semifinals. We're going to take a bit of a pause, but we are going to be back. We will have the finals coming up in just a little while, and of course we also have the place race and we have the playoff race, and the playoff race is going to be so absolute key because if you're in the playoff race and the top 2 that finish in that playoff race, they join the top 3 in the final.
At the moment, that final is looking like Team Drogba, Team Rafa, Team Westbrook. It's Didier Drogba, Rafa Nadal, Will Smith going head-to-head so far, with 2 others still yet to join, coming from the race-off and the place race. This is going to be very, very interesting. It's a battle of some of the world's greatest athletes, actors, musicians, and everything else.
It's incredible. And you think about it, from that race-off, will it be Team Brady, Tom Brady's team, that won the opening 2 rounds, then struggled, and once again are in a position where they may or may not make the final? Will it be Team Miami? And obviously all the adrenaline and the angst that we were just hearing about that race, or will it be the local gal, Lisa Gussain-Battalia's Team Blue Rising? Will they make it to the final in her hometown to be able to get after it? There is so much to look forward to, and the place race, and that basically decides the place race, who gets 7th points, who gets 8 points, and who gets 9th place points is what the place race determines. And the team that finishes 3rd in the playoff race, they will automatically be assigned 6th place points. So there's still an awful lot to play for here, and really cannot wait to see how this all plays out, especially with some of the drama that is building here at this stage.
Yeah, I'm incredibly excited to see how the rest of these results pan out. We've got some really good matches here, some great performance so far. You know, Team Rafa, all the way from the start of this weekend, from free practice into qualifying, they have just looked on another level of performance. And they had that first semi-final, and we kind of shocked that they weren't up there. But then straight away, second semi-final, they showed us exactly what they've shown us all weekend in that performance. And now we get to see them in the final up against the likes of Team Drogba and Team Westbrook and others yet to be confirmed who will be joining. But it's going to be exciting. Big names.
As we have a look here at some of the folks enjoying the Ocean Club, let's go back and take a look at some of those drama-filled moments of that previous race that we just saw that have created some of these scenarios that we're looking at here. And again, this was a upheld protest here, and let's see what happens. Watch how close those 2 competitors are here.
Yeah, very close. Obviously had huge ramifications for the results. Oh, look at that again.
Yep.
Just close the door.
Firmly. And now, yeah, so that will affect the results because it was a protest that was upheld. So how does it change the results here? That's going to be really crucial here. So now we're going to the combined semifinals 1 and 4. Team Perez in 3rd. 2nd is Brady. So as a result now, they will be going, I think, to the playoff, and it is Rafa that will be going into the finals. This is huge.
Yeah, so Brady huge into the race-off now, and the finals, as we saw so far, Drogba, Rafa, Team Westbrook, and in the race-off, Team Brady, Team Miami, Team Blue Racing. It's, yeah, I mean, that's big consequences from that decision.
It absolutely is. And, you know, there is an appeals process in place, and, you know, it played out, and it was upheld. So lots of things are going to be building here. Again, great drama unfolding here in Monaco. And look at this setting. Absolutely incredible. So here is how it looks right now. You take a look at how they finished in their respective semifinal rounds. Team Rafa, when you go 1 and 1, you're going right to the final, as is Westbrook. And now Drogba gets to go straight in as well. And here's where the changes come with the semifinal. Brady in that 2nd spot. That is a big effect.
Yeah, that's changed the game, and especially with Brady really looking to maximise on that redemption story, having won in Jeddah and Venice, having a big disappointment in Spain, and now wanting to come back big, and this has affected their ability to do that potentially.
Yeah, it has big time, and try and come back. So now they have to fight through the race-off, and if you finish in the top 2 of the 3 race birds in the race-off, you do go to the final, but you don't get the prime launch points exactly either. So you just got to get there first and then deal with what's unfolding. That will be coming up a little bit later here in Monaco.